Welcome back, Martini Giant fans. This is episode number 126, which are two films by the great film director Peter Bogdanovich. The first one is, of course, The Last Picture Show from 1971, and we paired that with the second film, Paper Moon from 1973. Peter Bogdanovich is an interesting person. We've actually talked about amazing film critics and amazing film historians that have ended up becoming directors on their own, like Francois Truffaut was a good example of that. But Bogdanovich was a fabulous person, loved films, loved cinema, ended up writing a biography for Orson Welles, who was a good friend of his, and ended up advising him on these films, which is, by the way, the main reason why both of these films are actually shot in black and white. It actually had everything to do with Orson Welles on that. So it's really kind of an amazing thing to think about that. But he also wrote many books and many other things. But these two films are very, very important. In fact, The Last Picture Show was nominated for 8 Oscars and won 2 of them. And Paper Moon was nominated for 4 and won 1 of them. So kind of an amazing accomplishment considering his background and what he did. So really great stuff. Last Picture Show, in my mind, is probably one of the greatest American films ever. It's definitely up there, probably in the top 10, and incredible accomplishment, and really should be recognized. Now, why did we do these films? Well, actually, they've been on our list for a very long time. I've wanted to do them. I know that Peter Bogdanovich was, Eric Shealy is a huge fan of his, so I want to make sure that we celebrated him in some ways, and this seemed to be the best way to do it. So very happy that we were able to do it. Eric talked very passionately about him, and I was super happy we were able to do that. So great movies, very emotional, and honestly, a great discussion amongst all of us and our passion for this stuff. So really cool. All right, a couple of announcements. As you guys know, we haven't actually been able to be very regular on our recordings on every Saturday. I've been out of town. A lot of stuff's happening. Summer's going on. Back to school's happening. So it's been very tough. I'm still traveling, but I'm able to squeeze in a recording this Saturday. And we haven't quite picked the movies yet because I'm about to get on the phone with the guys and we're going to pick what movies we're going to do for this Saturday. But it is going to be September 9th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be recording a podcast, yet to be determined, on the subject, and very excited to see what that is. But you can always follow us. It's going to be on twitch.tv/@martini_giant. No, sorry, twitch.tv/martini_giant. Twitch.tv/martini_giant. Now, if you don't have time to watch us on Twitch, or it's not, you're in Europe and it's way too late, you can always watch us later. We're always available on YouTube. If you want to watch us on YouTube, of course, you can always do the audio formats later. But YouTube, it is youtube.com/@martinigiant. Again, youtube.com/@martinigiant. If you're on YouTube and you like us, please like and subscribe. Always good. And of course, make sure you share it with all of your friends and family who love to talk about movies as well. All right. But for now, I'd like to share Paper Moon and The Last Picture Show. Enjoy.
I like this in black and white.
I like this in black and white.
Yeah,
we should do more of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just watched Avatar: The Way of Water in black and white. I tuned the color down on my TV. And it's fantastic. It's still a fantastic movie. In fact, it's because the reason to do this, for people that aren't familiar, Steven Soderbergh put out a copy of Raiders of the Lost Ark in black and white. So, and saying like, this makes it easier to pay attention to how good the editing is, how great the shots are, and all this stuff. And I completely agree. Like, if you watch Avatar: Way of Water in black and white, you'll see lots of details that you did not see, and you'll see how well executed this movie is. It's really, really something.
Was it as Cameron intended?
It was on a small TV on my computer in black and white. No, it's actually on my regular TV. Yeah. On my Roku, on my Roku in black and white, the way that Cameron wanted.
That's one thing we didn't discuss last time was how much that term was as Nolan intended has become a meme. To the point that it's like it's just ridiculous.
It's a step in for as God intended.
Yeah.
Which phrase?
As Nolan intended.
That's right.
Oh, Right.
As Nolan
Such a meme.
intended. Because you'll be like, oh, they put too much butter on my popcorn, as Nolan intended.
Yep. All right. So these are movies that we have wanted to do for a very, very long time. I don't know why we kept putting it off, but I figured we've done so many new movies recently. It would be good to go back to some of these. And you're a big Bogdanovich fan, right, Eric?
Yes, I am a huge, huge, huge Bogdanovich fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because he seemed like, he had issues. I love his books. I have read all his books. I own all his books. I've always watched interviews with him. I know he was close with Orson Welles, who I love. Mm-hmm. And there was something always about him, and it sucks, man. He died like a year or two ago. Yep. That there was a very independent, like he is his own person, type of, for good or bad, type of filmmaker. And I always just saw him, even though he probably was within the system, I always just saw him as outside of the system, and his movies resonated with me. There was the size of the cast, the way he made them. They were really steeped in the history of film, and there was a lot of touch points to all his films that I find that are unique. And so he was definitely, an interesting director. And I guess the point is he was always himself. He was a very unique individual, and it wasn't like a studio shooter, or some sort of. And from the 70s, kind of a guy that would be making Blue Thunder.
Right.
He was making these films that were really touching and beautiful and wonderful characters, and had a lot of voice to it, like different characters and emotions, and you really kind of immerse yourself in it. And but yet he was within the system, and he was involved with the whole Dorothy Stratton stuff. So it's kind of an oxymoron. It's just he was a contradiction in a way. But when you listen to his old interviews, he really was. He loved film. He loved filmmakers, and he was a real artist.
I think it's interesting. Someone said on Facebook, Dan, in one of the comments when we said we were going to do these films, someone said that Bogdanovich was kind of like the Tarantino of the 70s.
Yeah, that's sort of an interesting way to look at it.
It's interesting because he was a huge film buff and loved to just be obsessed about films. And
he wrote for Esquire.
Yeah,
and I have a bunch of his books on John Ford. I have his Who the Devil Made It.
Yeah,
like he wrote so well and with such care.
He was very, very in with the old crowd.
John Ford, yeah.
Ford and Wells. Well, big time with Wells, obviously. Like
he lived with Wells.
Stayed at his house. Yeah, exactly. And like he and a lot of his filmmaking is this really weird, like it's very like almost 40s classical in a lot of ways, but it's showing you things that those movies never would have shown you.
Right.
And so
these feels like old movies, but with a twist.
Very, very modern subjects, and getting the emotions that those movies avoided, and so it's very
like nudity and sex.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the Last Picture Show is very much about sex. Like it's like 80% of the movie, and it's really. It's not graphic, but it feels so real that it feels.
I think it's because it's
extremely intimate movie.
I think it's because it's so awkward that it feels real.
Yeah, and he he uses these old school techniques that he borrows from John Ford and from Wells and from like all these like classic filmmakers to make a whole new kind of film.
So they're like the famous nude scene, and then like a whole herd of cattle come through. So it's bringing John Ford with contemporary, right? It's just like cattle drive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but the point is, but actually that's kind of true. Like if it's a joke, but it's kind of true because like there's I mean, this is a little grab from Last Picture Show, but just when you see like there's a character that dies and it cuts to all these cattle milling about in a truck because they're too tightly packed into a truck, and like it's just like it's a total like a Old West image, but confined into a box, and it's commenting on what's happening, and it's amazing.
The best thing is that you just said about the John Ford. When you look at the Last Picture Show, the thing that he nails, just like Ford, is all those characters that are not top billing, like the guy sitting in the truck or the other guys looking in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
They're like real, like oil
and they're
dudes.
just reading lines, just very kind of straight. Yeah.
And John,
non-actors.
Which is pretty great. I love that. I love it.
But they're like real.
Well, let's take them
authentic.
out there and take care of them. I guess that's what's going to happen.
The kids all under God's stars. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But it's all this stuff. And it's like John Ford had so many cameos like that, which gives this authenticity.
Do you remember the cafe scene in Easy Rider?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what those guys felt like.
Those guys, yeah, very much so. And like the town itself in Last Picture Show is sort of, it feels like a place made up of all of the sort of supporting characters of a John Ford movie. Like all these are all the characters that would be in a John Ford movie, but the hero is not here, Right. And like the best we got is like Ben Johnson, and this is what their lives are, outside of when here comes John Wayne, well, John Wayne wrote off a long time ago, and these people are still hanging around.
Well, so it's funny because John Ford told Ben Johnson to do this movie, which he didn't want to do. And he said, what do you want to be, second fiddle to John Wayne all the time? You should do this movie.
That's amazing. And it's my all-time favorite Ben Johnson performance.
Oh, God.
It's one of the great supporting roles of all time. Yeah. It's incredible.
The fishing scene is just crazy.
The fishing scene is incredible.
Really beautiful.
Yeah. Like you see him a lot in other stuff. You see him like The Getaway. You see him in all sorts of other movies past this, but this is beyond a crowning achievement for his career. This is like, when I think of Ben Johnson, I think of Last Picture Show.
Also to note, it is one of the shortest performances ever to win an Oscar.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that makes sense. It's that
he's only in it for 9 minutes.
Yeah, and it's pure. Yeah, it's really something.
Really
really
touching though, about just how it goes so fast.
I find this movie to be a masterclass in world building. I mean,
yes. Yeah.
Because I just watched, it's a 2-hour movie, almost exactly 2 hours. And it's very slow, but it feels like I watched an all-day event.
It's so deep. It's like so many, like you're just like, this place inside and out, every little weird relationship between everybody.
You feel like you've watched an entire season of a whole show, but it's all in 2 hours.
Yeah, like you can watch like 3 seasons of Yellowstone and not feel as complete as 2 hours of this.
Right.
And like and like I love that there's just like so many of the cross relationships between so many of the threads of the story, and half the time, like all these things that characters are trying to keep secret, all the other characters know and don't care. Like they're just like, yeah, well, like, so there's not even any surprises in the movie for anybody. Like everyone's just sort of like, yeah, well, that's what happens in small towns.
Small town, yeah.
Try that in a small town.
Yeah, try that in a small town. The subtitle. try that in a small town.
Oh God. But yeah, it's something just kind of amazing about it. It's interesting. So it's based on a book, and what's also interesting is the town they actually shot it in is the town where the author of the book came from,
Larry McMurtry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the actual town was just a few miles away. That the town that this is actually named in the book or in this movie is actually just a few miles out. So it's really very much in that area of Texas, which ain't much going on around there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And Larry McMurtry, for people that don't know, wrote one of my all-time favorite books called Lonesome Dove.
I love
incredible novel.
That's the book I love.
And he also co-wrote the story that became Brokeback Mountain. He also wrote the novel that became HUD with Paul Newman. And he also wrote the novel that became Terms of Endearment. So like this guy is...
And Meg too.
And Meg 2, directed by Ben Wheatley. Amazing. But
I'm going to see Meg 2 right after this.
I can't wait to hear.
You're going tonight?
Oh my God. I'm so excited to see, even if it's a terrible movie, it doesn't make a difference.
I don't care.
Ben Wheatley directed it. It's so great.
In the trailer, they literally jump a shark, for God's sakes.
Like, that's perfect.
They're just throwing it at you.
Yep.
So I'm going, me and my son and my son's friend who's actually listens to this podcast.
Nice. Hello.
And his dad, and I think Ben's Brady's other friend. So it's gonna be boys going out to see Meg 2. I think it'll be fun.
Nice. Good call.
Yeah.
I would say you should look for the movies by this director, such as Kill List, but I really only mean that for you and Brady's friend's dad.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's the guy who directed it is absolutely terrific, and nobody knows his movies, but maybe me and Caesar Salatis from Discord.
All right. Yeah. I mean, this show is just, the performances are so good, and yet at the same time it feels kind of like meh performances in some cases.
It's part of why it works. Like, you don't want it. Yeah, it's like you don't want this to all to be Oscar winning. The fact that it's a little flat and some people aren't great makes it feel fit the town. Like, it's sort of like, oh, okay, and you're like, oh man, you're not good enough to get out of acting school. You won't escape this town.
Give me one character.
All of them a little bit, like even the main kid. He does great performances, but I'm not denying that they're doing great performances, but their style of acting has that. Like,
you compare Timothy Bottom's performance, he's the main kid, more or less.
Right.
And he is playing opposite, pardon me, Cloris Leachman. And Cloris Leachman is giving one of the great performances in the 70s.
Right.
And Timothy Bottoms is sort of like on an episode of The Waltons.
Yes.
And it's okay. It's good that this works, because like his lack of expression and depth. It makes it feel weird.
It is make it awkward.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like what's her name, Sybil Shepherd, and we'll go into the details behind that. But it's almost like her lack of being a really serious actor.
Yeah, she's not.
It still works because there's a cuteness and beauty about her, and snobbiness that just exudes.
She thinks she's special, even though she's not.
I totally.
I think she was she was actually one of Elvis's girls, so she was special.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that at all.
Dude. Like he had his movie theater in Memphis, and he would have dates. So the girls would show up, and she was Miss Tennessee, and so if you made it to the movie theater and were invited to watch a movie, because he was only him in the theater, the Memphis group would be in the lobby or in the way back.
Wow.
That was it. And so, she was one of the Memphis theater girls, or whatever you want to call it.
Because I
at 17, 16, 17.
Yeah, exactly. Like I agree with you guys. I think that I'm sort of fascinated by Sybil Shepherd, because she's also she's in a couple of Bogdanovich pictures, and she's in one, Daisy Miller, right? And I really like Daisy Miller. And what's fascinating about, because Bogdanovich was he married to her? Or he was dating her anyway. Like,
so he started an affair with her during this movie.
Yeah. Right. And
Polly
Platt was his wife, and she
found all the scripts and was all like the one that made the movies.
Yeah, she was the production designer, and so there was.
She also found the scripts,
right?
Picked the movies for him,
and
she worked on the scripts.
Very important, and so it somehow is like, and he kind of had this open affair with Sybil Shepherd.
Right,
didn't go so well, and in fact,
he was with her for many years.
For many years, but I remember like he was doing there was another story when he was going to do Paper Moon, and he had to help do the production design, and she said, "I'll do it if Sybil Shepherd is not allowed on set."
Yeah, there you go. Nice. Yeah, because like because Sybil Shepherd, like, and I don't mean this to be mean. Like, Sybil Shepherd is in all of the stuff I've ever seen her in, and especially in the movie I just mentioned, Daisy Miller. Like, she is so close to being a great actor that she's not a good actor. Like she is like one step.
She's Ryan O'Neal.
She's right. And this is exactly where I was going. That she is the Ryan O'Neal of this movie. And like, because Ryan O'Neal, I always make fun of Ryan O'Neal because he's only great in 2 movies, and they're both great movies. But one of them is Paper Moon, and this is exactly the same thing where you're just like, I think you're just so perfectly, flawlessly cast that you're perfect, even though you're not actually doing that great a job.
Well, she has a magical quality to her. Yeah. And I think, strange but true, and she reminds me a lot of the girls that I grew up with in Connecticut as a kid. Mm-hmm. There's like the accessible beauty.
Yeah.
Like beautiful but smart and a little quirky.
Yeah.
And you could talk to her, but there's no way she would go out with you.
Right.
But there was something about her, but she's a little naive, but the real world. Mm-hmm. But eventually there's something about her. And I've met girls in even LA, just people you work with. They're like, oh, that's that same Sybil Shepherd, Connecticut girl quality to her, where she's very beautiful and personable. And
she has this one trick that she does. Like you hear the same delivery basically over and over and over again.
The best I thought, I always feel in the Last Picture Show is the best scene for me with her is where she's on the board and she's taking her clothes off. Not because she's taking her clothes off, but the way she just gives a look like, whatever.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly the look. Yeah. When she's like
and it's just like, screw it. And there's something about that scene where she was very truthful. But yeah, she is basically, she was, I think, please, I'll stand corrected, but I think she was Miss Tennessee.
Yeah.
Well, we can look it up.
I'm going to look it up.
But yeah, no, because I really do believe that this is her Barry Lyndon is the best way to say it. Like she's absolutely perfect.
There is a Barry Lyndon connection with Paper Moon. That's
no kidding, really?
No, yeah, there is.
I'm so excited. This is all brand
new.
I've been
reading all this trivia about these movies.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
So what's her name? America. What's her name? Ryan O'Neal's his daughter
Tatum O'Neal.
Tatum O'Neal. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So when Tatum got nominated and he didn't for Paper Moon, he got so pissed off that he punched Tatum.
What? Yes. Oh no, Ryan! No, I don't feel bad about making fun of you.
So wait a minute, and he punched her, and it was big. And then he left, and he decided to just kind of escape the whole situation to go film Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon. So he was living the Barry Lyndon lifestyle.
Yeah.
Well, I better go to war then.
Yeah. So it was kind of like this big deal. And their relationship was very strained after that.
I imagine so. If I punched my daughter, I think that would put a little...
especially when she's 10.
Yeah.
And the youngest person ever to win an Oscar.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was Sybil Shepherd was Miss Teenage Memphis and went to East High School in Memphis and was Miss Teenage America in 1966.
Oh, yeah, there you go. It's creepy, but there we are. Elvis know how to pick him.
Come on, dude. He was the king, baby.
He was a king, baby, indeed. That's right. No, so okay, like I said, I often make, if people haven't heard me make fun of Ryan O'Neal, it's because he's a very bad actor. But he's a very good actor in Barry Lyndon because he's a very bad actor, and that's why Kubrick, I believe, cast him, because he's a completely guileless, naive moron in that movie, and also kind of a douchebag. And there you go. It fits the character perfectly.
In real life, yes.
There you go. And so Kubrick's like, this is exactly who I need for Barry Lyndon. And here you are.
I met him a few times because my wife, when I first met my wife and I lived in Brentwood, he owned a gym. It was called PRO Gym, Patrick Ryan O'Neal Gym. And I had a trainer there, and I would just go, and he would always just be there. My wife and I would go work out.
What was he like?
Why would he have a gym?
I know. he's not exactly known for the Schwarzenegger
I think
body.
It was could have
James
been Caan.
Thing. Yes.
James
Do you know
Caan,
where
yes.
it was behind? It was behind Metzaluna, the one where by that girl's house that was killed by OJ.
Oh, right. Yep.
And the waiter worked at the restaurant. It was right behind
Metzaluna. Yep.
San Vicente, Montana.
Yep.
And he just had a gym, and he had a young wife, and I would always say, like, hey, dude. And, but, you know, I don't think he was a big worker outer.
Yeah, he didn't look like a worker outer. He looks like a worker outer like me. I'm an eat a burger.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so I used to apologize for making fun of him for being a bad actor, but now that I know that he punched his daughter, I don't apologize.
We're skipping ahead to that movie, but I love that movie. I don't know the answer to this, Dan or Chris, but was there a reason? I love Bogdanovich's films, but was there a reason why both films were in black and white?
Yes.
Okay.
Both of them was Orson Welles telling him, you need to shoot this black and white.
Right on. Like,
Was it really?
Yeah, I forgot one of them was him trying to ask Orson Welles how to do deep focus stuff, and he goes, shoot it in black and white. Right, and he said if you shoot in black and white, I think the ISOs can be much higher with black and white films compared to color back in that time.
Sure.
And so if you can do a higher ISO, you can basically do a better job of it. And then for Last Picture Show, it was the same thing. Orson Welles said, shoot it in black and white with a red filter in front of it. Yeah. And that would give it the high contrast that they got in that movie.
And it looks great. I mean, because one plays as an old timey fun movie, which the black and white helps, and the other makes it even more bleak and depressing.
Right, and in fact, that was another
Absolutely
thing. And what's her name? What was her name again?
Ellen Bernstein.
No, Bogdanovich's wife.
Polly Platt.
Polly Platt were like, how do we make this town look more, depressing and run down?
Yep.
And they were going to try to paint a bunch of things gray and things like that. And
put in a
like, oh, we shoot it in black and white. It's just not a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just put a 7-Eleven in.
I love black and white, and I don't think people need a reason to shoot in it. I know that's always every time they put up a black and white movie on Netflix, people are just like, I mean, what's really the reason? Like, well, why fucking shoot anything? There's no reason to do it. It's cool. Like,
I love
there
black
it
and
is. Fuck you. Like,
I love black and white.
Yeah. Why would people need a justification for what they like? That's silly.
Doesn't I think Leica just made a new camera that's black and white only.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Neat.
So it doesn't have RGB sensors. It doesn't have it's just straight up. The sensor is just black and white, right? Because when you
there's an Ari Alexa that is just black and white.
Oh, I love it. I think it's great.
Right. They made one that is just black and white. I forget who they did that for, but that I'm almost positive.
Yeah. No. And because I think that like there's a certain level of craft and attention that you bring to bear when you have to work like that. And I think you go like if you're really focused on it, you do incredibly good work.
So just to be a little more technical about it, like color sensors have a certain pattern to them that you have to remove when you process the information. It's called debayering, right? Because it's a Bayer pattern, right? And so with black and white, they don't have to do that. It's just pure. So there's no interpretation that's done to it. So it's just pure. So it's a much kind of a cleaner feel to it, which I think is interesting as well. But yeah,
isn't that funny though? Isn't that funny? Like they only had black and white until color, obviously, till color came, and the technology behind it. People are like, oh, it's better, it's in color, but yet still, we didn't grow up in the black and white era of silent films, but we still are romanced by it in a way.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of bad-looking black and white films also. But like I think that that it's too bad that it's been relegated to this very special art form that you have to sort of convince producers to let you do. Is it
more expensive?
I don't know if it may be more expensive now. It used to be much cheaper. Like when there was the transition, you'd have low budget films like Them was shot in black and white, even though every A movie that it ran with was color, that kind of thing. So it was a cheapness factor. But now I think it has to be a special. It's a special deal. It's special treatment.
And you're talking about turning off the color, right?
Yeah.
On films, it made me think. I think I might try to watch The Thing with just black and white.
Oh, I've done it. It's great.
Have you done it?
Yeah. But listen, like Roma, for example. Remember Roma? That's all black and white.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, incredible.
But I think they did a special treatment on it to make sure that it would look good on televisions.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because it was a Netflix movie.
Yeah. It's a very, very heavily post-controlled movie, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's like, that guy is not afraid of like dialing in. It's not like Tarantino when you got to get it in the camera. Like this guy, all the way through the end, he's like, and making sure it looks just right. But it's gorgeous film, and like I also think there's still cutting edge stuff to be done in black and white, because like if you watch Mank, like Fincher is doing things, because that's shot on video, right? He's doing things that you couldn't do in black and white films when you're shooting film. And so he has these if you watch that on a great TV, like the grading and the lift he's giving these nighttime backgrounds, like you just couldn't shoot this. It's incredible looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new ground to cover if people want to break into it. A really great format. But these movies are gorgeous. These and they don't look like each other, which I really like, because like you have there's a lot of deep focus stuff in Paper Moon, like a lot of wide angle lens stuff in Paper Moon that makes it more of like a almost comic booky world. Like it's a very
it's much more of a comedy.
It's a comedy. It's broader. Everything is like very, very detailed and very, very big shots with lots of deep staging. And then whereas what you look at Last Picture Show, and it's like, here's a house and a guy and a shitty car, and that's what we have.
Right.
Like that's the movie.
I really thought, like, after I watched these two movies again, I was like, we should have added a third movie, and it should have been Young Frankenstein.
Because Cloris.
Black and
Good old
white.
Cloris.
Cloris Leachman, Madeline Kahn.
Yes, that's right. It's a crossover. It's the crossover.
Yeah. And they had the guy, both films had the guy. So the school teacher in Last Picture Show.
That's right.
Was also
Magnum
the guy
PI.
who was
Yes.
He's also the guy who was the bootlegger and in Paper Moon. He played the bootlegger and his brother, the sheriff. He played both roles. But he was also in Blazing Saddles.
He's in Blazing Saddles. That's right. He's
he's the guy who's like, Nietzsche says. I was like,
yeah, it's so good. Yeah, he's also in Chinatown. He's the water commission guy in Chinatown.
That's right.
I love that actor. Like, yeah, and he was in Magnum
literally
PI,
was Magnum PI guy.
Yeah,
he was Magnum PI guy. Yeah,
that's right.
And then I think he passed away not long ago, guys.
Oh, really? He's great. There's him and the other guy that I love. See if I can describe it. Who is this dude? The
Richard
guy
Decollage.
I'm gonna have to look this up. This guy's really hard to even once you get him.
Richard Decollete.
Let's see. I am the database. I'm gonna see if I can get you guys to recognize this dude. Okay, so first of all, we have to go to Parallax View.
Oh yes.
Okay.
And he was in. Was he the guy in Knots Landing?
I think you may be right.
That's the Knots Landing guy who does the interview with him in the hotel room.
Yeah, like this dude. He shows up all over the 70s.
It's been a long time since I've seen Knots Landing, so I don't.
Let's see if
he was in Knots Landing, dude. He was the Knots Landing guy.
I love this guy. I know
who you're talking about, and I always forget his name.
He's the guy in Parallax View that's blown up on the boat. Right?
And that guy.
That guy, right? And he is literally in every single 70s movie as that guy. And then he's just gone. I don't know what happened to him. But I think he's like on maybe, I don't know, the Bionic Man or something like that. Like I remember him being a big part of it.
That's not the Knots Landing guy.
But this guy is the sea-level version of the other guy we're talking about. there's tiers of that guy.
Do you guys remember that guy
in
70s films who was always the menacing bad guy, but he had really bad skin, and he was like blonde but menacing looking, and he had really like pocked, distorted face.
Oh, there's a couple of those guys.
Yeah,
a couple of those guys.
Really?
And here's another one. This we could do a crossover also, because we could
remember the bad guy in that movie in the 70s who looked really bad.
You remember that dude? Or the good guy also that looked like that?
Oh my God, yeah. Right?
Charles Bronson? Yes. Both cases.
Chuck Bronson.
No, we should do, and Eric, I think you'd approve of this. We should do a film series entirely of movies that feature Kenneth Mars. which is Young Frankenstein. He's the inspector with the wooden arm.
Yes.
in
Right.
Young Frankenstein. He's in What's Up, Doc. He's in Parallax View. Like anytime this dude shows up, it's a good movie. They should just say whether
He
or not.
also plays a random role in Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh my God! Brilliant. I didn't know that. That's amazing. He should. It's just like the Kenneth Mars seal of approval. He shows up. He's a good movie. It's too
Following his father's footsteps. What? His footsteps.
Following in his grandfather's footsteps. But man, oh man, yes. So that whole team, like Madeline Kahn and Kenneth Mars, and like they're in so many of the great movies of the 70s, and they're never really like the lead. Like the lead is always like Ryan O'Neal, and you're like, great, it's Ryan O'Neal. But the real work is being done by Madeline Kahn. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I mean, he was a big deal, though, Ryan O'Neal, in the 70s.
Love Story and all that stuff. Like, he was a handsome dude. Absolutely handsome dude, sure. And, he made his money. It's good. I'm happy for him.
Who directed Love Story?
Oh, I don't remember. That is not a very good movie. Love Story movie is... oh, my God. Even the fucking cover is terrible.
That was a big hit, though.
It's Arthur Hiller, actually. Good director.
Arthur Hiller. Was Dionne Warwick did the song or something?
Maybe so. Yes. Maybe so.
What's his name? Who married Angie Dickinson?
Yeah. Yeah. This is, boy.
Who just died.
Yeah. Like Arthur Hiller, great director, did lots of great stuff. This is not tops of his list, I would say.
But that was a
probably
huge
because
hit.
Ryan O'Neal was in it.
That was a huge hit,
just a
though,
goofball
guys.
movie. Oh, sure, tremendous hit. I mean, like, because
What's
it's
her
got
name?
also that's fucking
Ally McGraw.
Ally McGraw.
Ally McGraw. There it is.
Yeah, Ally McGraw. And Ally McGraw is also one of those
She
not
was
very good
so-
actors.
She did
right?
a movie
no,
called...
no.
She was so hot, though, dude.
Oh, yeah, cute as hell.
God, kills me. When I was a kid, I loved this movie called Goodbye Columbus, and she's in it. And that is a great film with Richard Benjamin.
Oh,
and Ally
yeah,
McGraw.
that's right.
Goodbye
Ally McGraw.
Columbus and Jack Klugman. It's a
Right.
New York Scarsdale story.
Right.
Love it.
Right. Yeah, because Ally McGraw is in The Getaway with McQueen, and she also has the same kind of Sybil Shepherd likability
Quality,
in that movie.
yes.
Yeah, where you're just like, she's shitty, but she's perfect for this. And like it adds a certain, like, what kind of person this is somehow. And like Shepherd, like this movie, Last Picture Show, like Shepherd's story is not only sad, it's not like sad things happen to her. It's like she's really trying to fucking figure out what's like trying to get control of her life.
She gets screwed.
Right? And she just gets fucked.
Well,
And
yeah,
you're just
but I don't have any sympathy for her because she fucked everyone else.
Yeah, I mean,
know,
she
to get
does. Like she's literally sleeping her way all around the town.
She's
trying to
sleeping
figure her
around
way out.
town.
Let's not be
Yeah.
judgmental.
But like
Yeah.
she's in the end, like the scene, like one of
Let's
the
not
great-
rush to judgment, okay?
like one of the great sex scenes I've ever seen is Sybil Shepherd and the creepy 40-year-old guy in the pool.
Oh, on
hall.
the pool table?
Like that is because it's such an
That was
incredible.
well shot, by the way.
Oh, it's this perfect combination because it's so much from her point of view, so that it is actually very sensual and very beautiful, but at the same time, it's extremely nasty and very creepy.
Yeah, the
and
way
those
she
two-
grips
these two-
the holes.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. When the pool table, like it's so it ends up being like sexy but
I
disturbing.
wonder if that like pool table
Brilliant,
is just
brilliant.
chill.
Well, she's horrified by it.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
comes home and is like, what? What's
Yeah.
so creepy is she comes home and she tells her mom, is like, how could you sleep with that guy? I just slept with him. Like she just
yeah, like her and her mom is the mom from The Exorcist, right?
Right.
And she's terrific. And like she's just like her mom's just like, I wish you just fuck that dude. Like
That's
just get
Ellen
it out of your
Bernstein,
system.
right?
Yeah. And so like the kind of conversations that happen in this movie are not what you expect at all from any of these characters.
Right.
And it's all very awkward and very sad and very lonely. And characters make decisions where you're like, oh, it's fucking dumb. But at the same time, you're like, but I know why you're bored.
Yeah.
Like I know
There
why you
ain't
feel
much
this
going
way.
on.
There's nothing going on here, you know. And so like when you get to this bit when the creepy uncle gonna mac on Sybil Shepherd. Like, it's an awful scene, but instead of just being judgmental about the scene, like you get all of her feelings. You feel all of her feelings.
She's so desperate too, just to like lose her virginity. It's just
Oh, and that other creep dude who's like, she's
At the
like
party?
at the party, yeah, like, and
He just grabs her by the pussy.
yeah, he just goes, "What, are you a virgin?"
He
She's
pulls
like,
a
"I guess I
Dodger,
am." Yeah, exactly.
Pulls a Donald Trump on her.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, ugh.
Yeah, and he's like, "Were you a virgin?" She's like, "I guess I am." And she's like, "Great, call me when you ain't anymore."
Right.
And you're like, ugh. Like, I feel like I got a mouthful of hair. This is just fucking awful. Every single scene in the movie feels like this. There's so few moments of beauty, and even they are
the beautiful too are not beautiful.
Are not beautiful. Things are fleeting, and good moments are instantly replaced by bad moments. And like, you feel like the movie is dying right in front of your eyes the whole time. And there's no other movie quite as successful at doing this as this movie. It's a absolutely unique and incredibly depressing ride. But we should tell people what it's about. It's about a Texas town in the middle of nowhere. You follow a bunch of high school students as they basically sleep with one another all over the place, are really bored by even that. They're trying to escape the town. They get into fights. Some of them fuck adults, like everything. It's just like, ugh. Like, the
adults. There's definitely a certain class system that happens a little. Some people are roughnecks, and some people go to country clubs.
Right, and there's only
it's
like
got Randy
one or
Quaid
two
in it.
Randy Quaid is like the gangly
That's
creep.
his first movie.
Yeah, and he's
great.
Is
that his first movie?
He's excellent in it. Yeah, he's excellent. And
that's the part too.
Yeah. Oh
and
my
he
God.
looks the part.
He is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, he is like, there are only a few actually good people in the town, and even they have been worn down to almost nothing. And so like, you have the owner of the theater and the diner is
the pool hall.
And the pool hall is Ben Johnson, right?
And he's Sam the Lion, right?
Sam the Lion. And he is like, you can tell, like, you can't even tell if he used to be a good person, but he doesn't do anything dumb anymore because he knows where it goes. And so like, now he's cautious and he's kind, and he doesn't get, like, he protects like the young, not so bright kid, like,
is
it's
that
just
his
like,
son?
I think it's sort of, at least he's protecting the kid like it's his son. It's not really clear. Right. And then there's Eileen Brennan, who works for him, who is like, on the back end of she's like early 40s, and she's a good person, but you can see that she's just worn out, and then there's people like Frau Blucher, right, who
Cloris
Leachman, who is perfectly cast as, you can see that she, like, a couple weeks ago she was beautiful, and now she's a little tiny bit old, right? And she starts sleeping with, I mean, she's married to like the school, the high school coach,
football coach,
right? And she starts sleeping with Timothy Bottoms, who's one of the high school students, and like, their whole affair is like, it's in the beginning you're like, this is totally a bad idea and totally inappropriate, but at very least someone is mildly happy for a short period of time.
What's
and
interesting about it is
one disaster also.
she does this thing where she's crying and stuff, and she's like, well, before they start sleeping together, when she's crying, and she's always crying, she's highly depressed, right?
Yes.
Her life has gone wrong, and she's upset and
married to a terrible guy.
And it's like, well, I'm sure you'll be happier when basketball season's over, and why would I care about that? She says, well, just spend more time with your husband. And she's like, you're an idiot.
You don't know what's going on.
You don't know what's going on. So according to Leishman, the reason that you'd never see the husband, never really care, whatever, I think it was in the book, or they were supposed to film it, but they never got it in the film or had it in the edit. Husband's gay.
Oh yeah, no, you totally get that impression, right?
Just by the way he's ogling the boys running around.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and he sends him to go check out his wife.
Yes, exactly. And so, like, she's like, yeah, I made a mistake marrying him, and You know, now I got nothing and I don't know how to change my life. You know, and so she's like, she falls for Timothy Bottoms simply because he is youth, and that's it. Like, there's nothing interesting about him.
She's really into him. She brings.
Well, she's into him for sure. Yeah, like there's real happiness,
but for youth reasons.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay. Like she gets, because like there's one cut, one of my favorite edits in the entire movie, right, is when Timothy Bottoms ends up making out with Sybil Shepherd, who is Jeff Bridges' girlfriend. Right.
We'll get to that relationship.
Right. And he, like, you know, just from it happening that he's no longer going to be hooking up with Frau Blucher anymore. Right. Mm-hmm. And Timothy Bottoms is making out with Sybil Shepherd, and he's like, well, maybe we should get a hotel room. And Sybil Shepherd goes, no, we got time. We got all summer. And as she says it, it fades to Cloris Leachman alone in her bedroom. Like, it's one of the most powerful moments in movies. Like, here's the summer passes, my friends. Like, you don't have all summer. Like, summer's going to go away, and here we are, you know. And that's when he drives up, looks in her window, and then drives on. And it's just like, fuck. Like, if you don't like that flavor, don't watch this movie, because you will be very fucking depressed at the end of this movie.
Yeah,
it is the best of your life is behind you film, even if you're 18 years old.
Well, the thing that happened in this
really
movie
sad,
is his stuff, like things in his life slowly disappear. Mm-hmm. One at a time. Like there's all these reasons he's still hanging out in the town.
Right.
And as that, when he finally at the end, he like leaves, it's like, because nothing's happened, right?
He's got nothing.
He's got nothing.
He's literally.
But at the beginning is sort of like hanging around.
Yeah,
going to the pool hall.
Right. There's
stuff.
The movie theater. There's the pool hall. There's the diner. There's girls. There's girls. Everything. Right.
Him and Jeff Bridges are like best friends.
Right. And Jeff Bridges is great in this movie just because like he's super fun. He's really pretty, but he's also very
kind.
He's just like a really likable, nice guy, right?
Yeah. He's a great American actor, man.
He's so hard not to like him. Like it's just looking at this dude,
right?
And I think that Timothy Bottoms' character is a better person than Jeff Bridges' character. Like Jeff Bridges' character doesn't have a lot of integrity, but
he's a little shallow.
Yeah, he's a little shallow, right? But because Bridges is so likable, it makes me like Bottoms more. Like, Bottoms is sort of like a schlub. Like he's not a very interesting personality. He's just the camera point of view in the movie that things are happening to. He's not a bad actor in the movie. He's fine. But like he is given character by the people that he is nearby. And when he's with Jeff Bridges, you're like, I wish these guys could be buds forever. And it really makes the film feel like there's a possibility of goodness there.
Right.
There isn't. Just to let you know, there's no goodness and it all ends.
Yeah. But Jeff Bridges is dating Sybil Shepherd. Sybil Shepherd comes from, she's the rich girl in town, right? Her dad owns the factory or whatever, the oil rigs. And so everyone in town sort of works at the oil derricks, but the dad, her dad owns it. Mother, bored out of her mind in this town. All she's doing is just watching TV and drinking bourbon.
Yeah.
And telling her daughter that she should lose her virginity just to get it over with.
Just get it over with before you marry the wrong guy.
Before you marry the wrong guy.
Right.
And it's just Sybil Shepherd is with.
Isn't that what Chris always screams at us? Like, just lose your virginity.
Just for God's sakes, people, you're over 50. Just get it done.
Get it done. What are you,
be
priest?
A better podcast.
Yeah, that's right. No, and I really like what's her name? Ellen Burstyn in this movie. It's hard to. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, oh, she's actually a type of actress that was very popular at the time.
Yeah,
like she is very much in the vein of like you see like actors and actresses, like you see sort of. Crops of them that all kind of look alike. Like Ellen Burstyn was the successful one of her class of actors for that time period. It's like you see a lot of actors that look like Lee Remick all show up at the same time. that kind of thing. And Ellen Burstyn's one of those. It was like, this is a crossover movie for her to become a serious, real actor.
She had a little bit of a Natalie Wood look to her.
Yeah, right. She's on the periphery of that. She's in the wake of Natalie Wood. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, she's very good. I like her in this movie a lot. She's better later. Yeah.
She's very good, especially when she tells her the story about her. And
surprisingly, though, it's good casting. She does have this quality when she was with Sybil Shepherd. It's almost like she really could pass off as her mother.
Yeah, it's very true. Like their rapport is great, and like because they have
looks,
just a very.
It's just she was older, but it still is like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and they just feel like they've been through this routine so many times. They're complaining about exactly the same stuff, and like they really like she knows how to at least. I mean, Sybil Shepherd always gives the same act, but like at least Burstyn knows how to work with it. To make it feel like it's fresh, and it's a really, really interesting relationship. Because when you see this in any other movie, like it's like, oh, don't let those boys get you, and she's just fuck them, just get it done. Otherwise, it'll dominate your life.
Right, which it does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So basically, the big thing that her is that they're going steady with Jeff Bridges. Mother is like he's not going to be very good for you because he's going to be poor, etc. You should go to college and marry a rich kid.
Marry a rich guy.
Right?
Yep.
And so she doesn't want to do that, but then she goes to the dance and Randy Quaid is there and it's like, you got to come to the dance.
Come skinny dipping.
So someone's having a party and everyone took all their clothes off.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's going to get real crazy. God. His parents are out in town again. And she's like, well, I don't know about that. I got my boyfriend, etc. And then finally she's like, I'll go. And then Jeff Bridges, who just spent like a shit ton of money giving her a watch.
Right.
It was a gift.
Yep.
She says, well, I got to go to this other party. My mother's insisting, she says.
Total liar.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather hang out with you, obviously, but yeah. Instead, she goes to the skinny dipping party, and which is an incredibly good scene. And she finally goes in the pool naked, but forgets to take off the watch.
And breaks the watch.
Breaks the watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's an interesting piece of trivia.
That watch.
Was
a Timex.
Used in James Bond, Thunderball.
Yeah. It takes a licking and keeps on ticking. The way they filmed it so that it was two different shots where there was no one, when Sybil Shepherd was supposed to strip on the diving board, no one else was in there except for the director, the cameraman, and the sound guy. That's it. Right. And then the reverse shots were all, she wasn't there.
Right.
They did a scene like this, and I forgot the name of it, but I think it was supposed to be about this movie.
Yes.
With Sharon Stone.
Yes.
And they did the same shot with Sharon Stone doing that to sort of showcase what was going on.
Right.
How it happened. But in the Sharon Stone movie, everyone was there.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I could hear someone in the background says, get out of the way. I can't see her tits. Like literally yelling this on set.
Right.
And apparently it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like a horrible experience.
Yeah, man.
I don't remember what that movie is.
I'll have to look that one up. It's pretty
But apparently, I think it's supposed to be.
I think I've seen it.
And some other guy who's supposed to be the equivalent of Bogdanovich, right?
Yes, that's right. I think I've seen that. It's not Star 80, but it's the redo of the Star 80.
Oh, I gotta remember.
It's something.
I read it in the trivia things today. I was like, oh, that's creepy.
I actually think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, in Star 80, like Bogdanovich is portrayed.
Right.
That's right. Because Bogdanovich was married to who was the playmate?
Dorothy Stratton.
Dorothy Stratton. And Dorothy Stratton was killed by her agent, right? Or producer.
No, her manager, who was the guy that created Chippendales.
Right. And who's played by James Woods, I think, in Star 80. And so like
No, Eric Roberts.
Is it Eric Roberts? I haven't seen it in so long. I'm sorry, Eric Roberts.
Eric,
okay,
you're nailing it today.
Nailing it. So C Star 80. It's a very good movie.
And what's his name of Taxi Driver directed it, right?
It's the guy who directed Roy Scheider in All That Jazz. Fosse. It's a Fosse movie.
That's a Fosse movie.
Yep.
But I think it was written by Schrader.
Schrader. I think it's I think you're right. I think it is Schrader. You're right. So it's Bob Fosse, Paul Schrader writing, and Mariel Hemingway, I believe, as Dorothy Stratton. Very good movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. Obviously.
I like that movie.
Yeah, and so that really messed up Bogdanovich quite badly, because he was really smitten with Stratton. And he would what was the movie that he?
Okay, so the name of the movie. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt real quick because I had to look it up. The name of the movie that Sharon Stone did was called Irreconcilable Differences, and it was in 1984.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
I forgot about it. Yeah, it has Drew Barrymore in it, right?
It is yes, Drew Barrymore.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Also has Ryan O'Neal.
Ryan O'Neal. God bless you.
Shelley Long.
Yep. I forgot about that movie. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, Ryan O'Neal plays the Bogdanovich character.
Oh God, that's funny. Okay, that's pretty good. Maybe that's good.
So this is what I was saying is like, oh my God, there's so many differences, and yeah, this is interesting to me.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. That's interesting. But yeah, so like Bogdanovich had sort of like a Roman Polanski-ish event happen in his life, and afterwards his movies are, yeah, like he sort of just stopped. He doesn't stop making movies, but he steps
did Mask,
back a
which
little
I like.
bit. Mask is a very good movie. It's a very good movie. It's not quite on the it's a good movie all by itself. There's
this
no
is his
problems
best
with it.
movie.
But like this movie is phenomenal, and he never really approaches that again.
Well,
so like
because Polly Platt did all the writing and picked everything, and
right,
they
like
were partners.
There are so many weird influences from outside, like Wells and Polly Platt and Dorothy Stratton and all this stuff that push his career around. Even when Streisand, when he did What's Up, Doc? You know, and so like you never like for someone who had like has so much film knowledge and all this kind of stuff, like he never really gets his own voice outside of this movie. Like this movie
Paper
is
Moon.
And I mean, and Paper Moon. Okay, I'll say these two movies. Like these are the ones that really define him. And the other one I would throw in there also is Saint Jack.
Saint Jack, I like too.
I love Saint Jack. But after that, like he's obviously very wounded by his experiences, and he doesn't really push things hard artistically. And his movies are good, like The Cat's Meow, but he never ever returns to his early 70s.
This is the stuff
glory.
I like. Yeah. And I think he just pushed it too far, as you said. And I think his wife, or at least at the time, and was a big influence in his life. And he kind of blew it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he
sure.
did stuff that I just thought was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he eventually, after Dorothy Stratton was murdered, he moved in with her sister, and they started dating and lived together.
Oh, wow. That's weird. That's very weird.
Her younger sister. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
strange.
there's this kind of this like, what?
Yeah.
Are you serious? So there's a little bit of that going on there. So I think he just kind of.
And it's weird to think of this dude who is like very, like he wears like a cravat and like has like, he's sort of a Wes Anderson-y kind of type.
He was a great man, but he was his own thing. And I loved that about him. And his movies stand up. I've always, well, not always said, but I've said, you can just make one or two great films and that's it. You're done.
Yeah, for sure.
He's the guy, because I think those films are great. He made stupid life decisions.
Yeah.
But a lot of his life and stuff was discussed, actually. Those stupid life decisions, as you say, Eric, are talked about in the book, Easy Riders,
Raging Bulls.
There's also that podcast you turned me on to, Dan, where
you must remember this.
You must remember
Polly
this.
Platt.
Terrific. Yeah, terrific.
That's where the story about Tatum O'Neal came from in that podcast.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That really.
Polly Platt also is the one that discovered The Simpsons.
It really?
Yeah,
Wow,
dude.
Wow.
She worked
for
James
Polly
L.
Platt.
Brooks. And so she said, you got to check this cartoonist out. And she picked the whole thing up. I know that she didn't get the money like Brooks got, but he gave her a little something apparently. But she jokes about that on the podcast. She's like, if I negotiated better. She discovered Matt Groening. She said, this guy is really interesting. Let's put his stuff in the front of Tracy Ullman's show.
Oh, that's incredible, dude. Yeah.
Was she working on the Tracy Ullman show?
No, but James L. Brooks was, he had a production company. So she was working out of the production company or something like that. And she just said, this is a really great voice. We should do something with it. And she persuaded them to look into Matt Groening's world. And then they did a short film. Then they made the show.
Oh, man. She is, so now looking at Polly Platt's, she's a producer, and she went on to do Say Anything, Broadcast News, Terms of Endearment, War of the Roses.
James L. Brooks, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's terrific. Yeah, she's really something. That's why.
But she was in charge.
Wes Anderson.
That's right. She discovered Wes Anderson.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah. So she's like had this whole
That actually
voice.
makes sense. If you think about
Texas.
Bogdanovich and Wes Anderson.
It's the same thing. Exactly.
Right.
Because she discovered them. And so essentially what the smart thing about James L. Brooks is that James L. Brooks, was a genius. And I knew about her when I was in grad school for production design. And like her and Billy Gibbons and the thing was that she was his secret weapon. And then James L. Brooks brings her on and she was his secret weapon.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Right? Because I think she had something to do with bringing Broadcast News in. Yeah. All these films, Terms of Endearment.
Terms of Endearment, yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's great. Yeah,
she's the one that worked and massaged the scripts and said, I see it this way, and this way. That's what Bogdanovich had, and James L. Brooks took it.
That's really funny because, because Bogdanovich, if people get to see get a chance to see what's it called, there's two films on Netflix which you really should see. One is Orson Welles' last movie called The Other Side of the Wind, which was finished editorially by Bogdanovich, and stars Bogdanovich at the same period of time, and also John Huston and all sorts of other, Dennis Hopper and all sorts of giant people.
Hey, man,
and also They'll Love Me When I'm Dead, which is about Orson Welles but has a lot to do with Bogdanovich. And it's just odd to me to think of like this movie, like Last Picture Show, which is about as honest a movie you can get about like the East Texas, lifestyle, is being directed by this almost New Yorker kind of character.
100% from Brooklyn, Jewish New Yorker.
Yeah,
from Brooklyn, I think, and doing that. Yeah,
and like from the New Yorker magazine, like he's like
or Esquire or something,
or
like
Esquire.
That.
Like he's the kind of character that you'd expect in like a Salinger,
like a
story.
Woody Allen film.
Yeah, exactly. Because he has this kind of voice to him, and I just can't imagine him directing like Ben Johnson through this incredible scene. He's like completely. I'd expect Ben Johnson to punch him in the face, but he understood. New York
City.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like he understood characters so well in his prime. There is very few directors better at these getting very subtle, very appropriate performances out of even mediocre actors. Really, really something to see.
I actually think it was kind of amazing that he did this, but there was something else that I kind of loved about this, and this is, again, how I have a love of Texas.
True.
And this had a feeling to it. Now I should note that similar to American Graffiti, almost all the music in here is music that's playing on the radio in the background of the room.
Right.
It's either on the radio in the car or radio in the room, and it's almost all Hank Williams.
Yeah, and often it is absolutely contrary to the scene that you're watching it in.
Right.
Like these are like happy, jaunty tune. Yeah, and it's really in a really painful sequence. It's really, really great.
Right. Or a love song during a
but
breakup.
His stuff had a beautiful pain.
Yes.
But you see, Hank Williams is like all out of beautiful pain.
Yep, yeah. That's right. So that's another sort of Quentin Tarantino touchstone, is using ironic use of pop music over sequences. Bogdanovich is doing that only with country music, Hank Williams songs,
right?
In this movie, Yeah,
So
absolutely true.
there was all I could think of, and it's funny how these things happen, right? I could almost smell it when the songs are playing. So there's a restaurant, or actually a series of restaurants that are all owned by the same place, but there's different restaurants all around the block from them. It's called Good Company in Houston, and they have Good Company barbecue, Good Company tacos, and then Good Company seafood, and they're all amazing, right? But specifically when you go to Good Company barbecue and you get Texas barbecue there, the smell of the mesquite, you can smell the mesquite. Everything has that.
It's so good.
It's like going to Austin.
They're
You can
only
smell it in the
playing
air.
Hank Williams the whole time at a restaurant.
The whole time. That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
it's just, when I'm listening to this, I could almost like smell the mesquite that from town. And, you know, when he's talking about at the tank with the fishing tank, he's like, he talks about the mesquite trees there. And I was like, oh my God, I know exactly where they are.
Let me ask you a
can smell
question.
that.
The fishing
absolutely.
tank, that's just a man-made pond.
It is. It's basically for the cattle to drink.
Oh, got it. But fish are in there.
Well, apparently there's none in that tank. Which he says, I don't like catching fish. I don't like
It's
eating
mostly
fish.
turtles,
Mostly turtles.
which
Yeah.
is symbolic of the town.
Right. Yeah.
Yep, a bunch of slow-moving, dead-end creatures.
Now,
Could
did
you
he
live in
have
a
a
town?
father? Like, did he have, because
He did. He runs into his father.
he's
At a
right. He
dance
runs
hall.
into his father, but where is his mother?
She was playing fiddle on stage. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Because it just doesn't seem like he had any parents, right? And so clearly he's estranged to his dad. He doesn't want to talk to his dad, right? But he loves Sam the Lion like a dad. I mean, absolutely loves him.
Yep.
Who wouldn't?
And who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't?
It's Ben goddamn, he's Ben Johnson, man.
He's so good. And the scene where like they try to get the dumb kid to have sex with the prostitute.
Oh, so brutal.
Right. And then they admit to Sam what they did.
Yep.
It was like, none of you guys are welcome any of my stuff anymore.
Yep, you're not welcome into my businesses, and I want to know.
No one's allowed to order toast from me anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
That's right.
And so, but Jeff Bridges hides behind the thing, so he doesn't.
Exactly.
Like, good, I can still play pool.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's a good thing I was sleeping. You're like, you fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
You're a liar. You're a liar.
And then
At
He
least
was
he,
no wrong.
he
I love
forgives.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, he's great. Like he does forgive Timothy Bottoms anyway. In the
that's
scene with
the
burger.
scene I want to talk about, because it was such a great scene, right? Where he's left out, right? Yeah. He's completely left out, and he's sitting there, and his he's basically lonely because that's the only life he had was with Sam and the diner and the movie theater.
And Eileen Brennan, exactly.
Right. And so he finally just goes in and tries to see the waitress at the diner. And she's like, "You look skinny." He's like, "Well, I haven't had a burger in like 2 weeks."
No, I had one of your burgers. Oh, God.
So she's like, "Fine, I'll make you a burger." And she sort of lectures him about what he did.
Which in the end wasn't that bad.
Well, it's like it's sort of a well-meaning thing. It's
he
not
didn't
like
really want them to do that. He just kind of went along with it.
Like it's like the kid. It's not they're not forcing the kid to do something the kid doesn't want to do. It's just that the kid is like he doesn't get all the fucking stuff upstairs, and like it's not the right thing to be doing. Like the kid's having a good time for a while until like
he gets punched in the face.
The prostitute punches him in the face. You know, and it just turns into this weird, shameful mess. You know, and then Ben Johnson basically stands up and says like, you know, you're not going to be good people if this is how you act. Like, why even bother knowing you? Like, I've seen plenty of this fucking nonsense, and it's nothing new to me.
But then he's there, and he's about, you know, he's waiting for his burger to be finished, and plays a record, some Hank Williams or something. And Ben Johnson and the retarded kid come in. Right?
Right.
The slow kid. Sorry.
Yeah.
They come in and he's like, I know I'm not supposed to be here. He's like, I just want to talk to the waitress.
Yeah. And the kid's like totally fine with him. He's like, hey.
The kid doesn't care because the kid
doesn't give a
loves
shit.
The kid loves
got action.
him.
Timothy Bottoms. He's a good
Loves
friend.
Timothy Bottoms. And so he comes up to him and he turns his hat upside backwards, which is the thing he loves to do.
Yeah.
And he's so happy to
fun.
see his friend. But he's obviously knows he's not welcome there.
Yep.
And then she puts the burger down on the table.
Yeah, hard.
Hard.
Like bank.
And he says it's like, your burger's getting cold. Says,
Yep.
And he's like, that's how he says he forgives him, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, essentially, him and Eileen Brennan are his parents, like,
Right.
and like functionally his parents,
Right.
you know, and it's the fact that the dumb kid doesn't know, like, he's just like goes and has a good time with him. That's the thing that makes Ben Johnson go, all right, like you can see that he's like, oh, fuck, I can't keep
these guys away from each other.
Yeah,
that's I'm hurting
yeah, exactly.
the other kid.
The kid, yeah, just to prove a point. Yeah, he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so like, which just proves that Ben Johnson is an even more moral character because he's not standing up for his own ego. He's just like, I'll let this go because of this. You know, there it is.
Right.
It's fine.
It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do to forgive him.
Yeah, yeah.
And he could tell that the kid that he felt bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And it's like there are movies where there are bleak movies where everyone's a fucking jerk and everyone's griping about stuff and everyone's mean to each other, and those movies don't really feel like anything after a while.
Right.
This one hurts because at the center of it, you're like, you know, like Timothy Bottoms is a good kid and you know that these people want to do right. It's just this fucking situation is dreadful and it's wearing everyone away. You know, and it's just this endless, you know, exhaustion that people finally give in to doing dumb shit over and over again.
They're just teens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dumb kids.
But I what I think is so awesome about it is that whole thing is said with like 4 words and none of it is what they actually say. It's like, your burger's getting cold.
Yeah. There's no big
That's
talk
it.
out.
You don't need to say anything else, but you can imply everything else. It's so well done.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's like this is the thing that has been largely lost in the way that we consume media.
No, we have to tell people exactly how they feel.
Yes, in long monologues and explain every emotion. Yes.
Long monologues that tell you exactly what you're supposed to feel.
The backstory that actually, it's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like all this stuff, like if this were on a regular Netflix show, everyone would be really explicitly using therapist language to talk about how we should act in it right now.
Therapist language.
And I'm just like, just fucking show me what happens. Show me an example.
Your burger is cold said so much.
Yes.
And had nothing to do with the burger.
Yeah.
But it said
when
so
you
much.
said that to me, that really made me feel, I don't know, abandoned in a way that I did when I was a child. And get on with it. Get on with it. Put the fucking burger down. That'll get to the story right away.
Agree.
Let the feelings happen, you know?
So I thought it was one of my favorite scenes. And obviously followed shortly by the scene of them at the fishing tank.
Yeah.
Where
that's a beautiful scene.
Which is a classic, an absolute classic.
I mean, it's obviously the scene that got him the Oscar.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like just telling the story about having this perfect time with this girl when he's young, and you're just like mesmerized.
Well,
by
it's this scene that you're behind right now.
Yeah,
right
here, right.
And,
exactly.
and not only are you mesmerized, but so is Timothy
Bottoms. Yeah.
Bottoms is mesmerized by him, and you could tell how much he just is looking at him and trying to understand.
Yeah.
And of course, he finds out that he knows that he's been sleeping with Cloris Leachman.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, we all know about it.
Everyone knows about it.
Everybody fucking knows. Don't be silly.
Knows.
You know.
And then, but he tells him about this how he was with this woman, and she was, they were young and crazy and did crazy things, and she constantly dared him to do these crazy things on horses and swim across things, and how he absolutely loved her. But it turns out she was married.
Yep.
And it's just this story about her, and he's just completely enamored by it.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a beautiful scene.
Yep.
Which you find out later, that woman was Sybil Shepherd's mother.
Yes. Yes.
And
I love in that scene when you finally find this out, and Sybil Shepherd's mother, played by what's her face, fantastic, Ellen Burstyn, like she's really talking it out with Timothy Bottoms, and like he is looking at her like this is the dream girl, like this is it, right? And because Timothy Bottoms has already been sleeping with Frau Blucher, like you're like, is he gonna try to get with Ellen Burstyn also? And she goes, yeah, no. And like, she thinks about it for a second. She's like, yeah, no, I'm going to get going. Yes, we're both searching for the same thing, but we're not going to find it in each other, my friend. That's not going to work out.
Yeah, that's just more pain.
Yep. It's such a brilliant bit. But yeah, like this movie has, the ending scene of this movie is top 5 saddest things I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It is so heartbreaking. It's beyond description, and it's for all the good actors in this movie. Like Cloris Leachman, if you've only ever seen her in Young Frankenstein, you are not ready for her main scene in this movie. Like, it is unbelievably good.
We can get to that in a second because I want to talk about that, but we have to sort of see how why we get to that point. Yeah. So another thing that happens is that Sybil Shepherd is trying to sleep with everyone, trying to lose her virginity, trying to, and the guy says, "Sleep with me. Once you lose your virginity, give me a call."
Yeah.
And so she says, "Okay, great. So now I have to lose my virginity." So she tries to convince Jeff Bridges to sleep with her, and he doesn't do it right.
He can't get it up.
He can't get it out. He's like, doesn't feel right.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. And he's like, and so she's upset. And then she pretends that she did sleep with her. When she tells her friends, it's like, it was magical. He can't describe the words.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's like, I just can't even put it to words. She's just like, oh, my God. After she basically throws her shoe at Jeff Bridges for, I've never met a meaner boy in my life. Because poor dude, he's just like performance anxiety. He's just like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, she was so bratty. Like,
she was so bad. So terrible.
Yeah, it's funny as hell.
So all of that happened. But so she does finally lose her virginity to many people.
And what I really love about her character and how she's portrayed in this, like, she never loses agency. Like, she's always choosing to do these things. Like, it's not like she's not played off as just like, oh, and then men just whisked me away or anything. She's like, okay, I'm gonna try and fuck that guy, and then she goes for it, right? And like, she's never like swindled. Like, she
just wants to grow up so she can get out.
Yeah, she just wants to fucking get to the next stage.
Right. Like when her mother's lover shows up to the house trying to find the mother to have sex with her.
Right.
And she says, she's not here. Say, I've never gotten to the pool hall before.
Yeah, and the pool hall's closed. Yeah, exactly.
I'll take you to the pool hall.
I'll take you to the pool hall.
And like, oh, great. And so that's her saying, like, yeah, take me to the pool hall and have sex with me.
Yeah, exactly. She's in control of the sequence that happens. Right. And it doesn't keep it from being any less nasty or creepy or weird. Terrible. But she is choosing the whole time for this to happen for a very specific reason, and like an emotional reason, because she wants to be out of this town in an emotional way and in a real way.
Do you think he knows that and he just takes advantage of it, and that's why he's so rude to her at the end?
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just using you like I'm using your mother. It doesn't make any difference. I don't have to treat you well. I don't owe you anything. Yeah. And it's just like the emptiness of that. Like, it's just such a, God. Yeah. I think that scene would be very upsetting for people today, and they wouldn't know exactly what to do with it. But it's my favorite kind of scene where you have very complicated emotions about what's happening.
Right.
And it's brilliant. It's one of the best scenes in the movie, and it's extraordinarily uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then when she comes back to her house, she starts crying and complains to her mother. Like, why would you ever sleep with that guy? He's horrible.
Yeah.
It's weird how her mother's just like
And the mother's
Yeah.
so
Whatever.
comfortable with it. It's just so
she's
weird.
Like, yeah, and
But there are a lot
I
of
know how bad it
mother-daughter
is.
relationships like that.
Right.
Yeah.
All you have to do is watch OC County or like the Real Housewives of Orange
Real
County.
Housewives, exactly. Yeah, the Real Housewives of the Last Picture Show. Yeah, this is like it's bitterly depressing, and the whole movie feels like this death trap.
Right.
There's just no way out of this town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like so many things, and it's like, do you get when you get out? Are you really out?
Yeah.
Well, that's how the movie ends, by the way.
I know, but it's
But the one point he's with Jeff Bridges and they're like, well, let's do something. Let's go to Mexico. They're like, let's. So they get a wild hair up their butt and they say they're going to go to Mexico, right? Which to me, actually, it sounded like it reminded me of my story when my friend Keith and I were like, well, let's go to Big Bend. What?
Right.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
What?
Right.
Yeah, that's a 12-hour drive. Let's go.
Let's do it. Right.
Right.
Sure.
And so when they do that, they go to Mexico.
You do not see Mexico. You don't
You
get
do
to
not.
like.
see
We
the
don't get
hats.
to go.
No, we don't get to go to Mexico. But they say they're going to go to Mexico, and they talk to Sam the Lion,
Right.
and he's like, you guys are crazy. And I was like, I used to do crazy stuff like that when I was young, you know. And he says, you have enough money? He goes, yeah, we have enough money. It's like, you better take some more for insurance. And it just shows how he's just like taking care of
Father
these
figure.
kids.
Yeah.
father
exactly.
figure, right?
Exactly. You know, he wants them to. He does want them to have a good time. He does want them to have an adventure. But he also
Yeah.
warns them, like, be careful.
Don't get the
drink.
clap.
Yeah, don't get the clap, and don't drink the water because you'll get sick.
Right.
Cut to they're back from Mexico, and they're
both
sick.
They're both sick. They're like, oh. Yeah, they both got serious problems.
Yeah.
And
But
then
there was
they
definitely that moment there when it was like the exposition moment where they do in every road movie where it's like, give me a Tom's. You ate it 4 hours ago in Albuquerque. You know, it's like they use it to like as
It's
a
like slapsticky.
I want a piece of gum, or they use something that the
Right.
character wants, but they're out of it and he doesn't realize, and then they help explain the time. Like
Right,
it was 5 hours ago in Albuquerque.
And you
ate-
know they came from Mexico because he's wearing a sombrero.
That's right.
Big
Which
dumb
is
sombrero.
just the
Yeah.
stupidest thing.
It's so dumb. And then and so they have this little slapsticky bit in the car about being sick and whatnot. And then they pull over, they talk to this guy, and they
Well,
find
they pull
that
over and the
yeah.
diner's closed, and the diner's
the
never
diner's closed. Yeah, exactly. And they're like, "How is that closed?" That
And
doesn't
then
make
they
any
run
sense.
into the John Ford extra.
Yep. And he's like, "How can you not know? Oh, you weren't in town."
Oh, that's right. You were in Mexico.
That's right. And it turns out
Sam
that,
died.
Sam died.
While
Yeah,
they were in
stroke-
Mexico, Sam
Yep.
died.
Yep.
And which totally throws him for a loop. Turns out that he left the pool hall to Timothy. What's his
Right.
name? Right?
Timothy Bottoms. Yeah.
Timothy Bottoms.
Yep.
And so he is in shock because he had a huge admiration for him. So it was real hard for him. But and then he left $1,000 for the preacher's son, who was a
Yep.
pedophile. Turns
Yep.
out.
Yep.
And what else? And then
Movie theater
the movie
And
theater. Yeah.
to the
to
waitress.
his yeah, no, the waitress
to-
gets the diner. The
Waitress-
Timothy Bottoms gets the theater, and
No,
gets the pool hall.
And the
then,
theater
like,
goes to the old lady.
And it goes to the old lady, right?
And the old lady who basically she says barely knows how to do a popcorn machine. But so now he owns a pool hall, and that's like a anchor.
Yeah,
Right?
That's it. You're good.
That's
You're stuck here, buddy.
the anchor. And
That's
so
it.
they go to the funeral for him, right? By the way, that funeral scene,
Mm-hmm.
Bogdanovich lost his dad. He had to leave set for a little bit to
God.
deal with that. And the first scene he shot was the funeral scene when he came back from burying his dog.
Oh God.
Wow.
Oh man. Brutal. Yeah.
So, so things, when that guy dies, that's the beginning of the end.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's the last heart of the town. It's just gone. Yep.
yeah. And everything starts to go to hell. right? The he stops dating Clore. He tries. Oh yes.
He blows her off.
Well, Sybil Shepherd, her whole plan backfires because the guy who says, "Come on back," call me when you're not a virgin anymore.
He got married.
He got married, so she's not.
Yeah, because she dumps Jeff Bridges.
Tells
the guy that goes and sleeps with the other guy. Tells Jeff Bridges, "I'm with him now." Jeff Bridges is like, "Well, fuck it. I'm just going to join the oil rig and take off of this town."
Yeah, I have no you're the only reason I'm in town. So he just leaves town and goes to Adeline or whatever, or Modesto or whatever it is in Texas.
Have you been to those places?
Not that part of East Texas, no. I mean West Texas, no.
Yep.
I've been south of that. I've been down in the south, and then I've been in the Panhandle as well, but not.
How far is that by car? Say from Houston.
Where? So it's huge, right? So let me just put it this way: if I'm driving from Houston, Texas, to Los Angeles, by the time I get to El Paso, I'm halfway there.
Yeah. I have done this very thing, and it is a very long
from
drive.
Houston, hold on, to the Adeline or wherever they're talking about.
That's probably about
6 hours?
Close to 10 hours.
No.
Yeah.
It's fucking huge state. Huge.
So Texas is that big.
It's twice the size of Spain.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like, I couldn't believe how long we were driving to get halfway across Texas.
Yeah.
I was like, good Jesus. Just an infinite state. But
Holy moly.
So he's basically out of the picture for a little while. Then she's like, "Oh, I'll hook up with that guy who said he'd."
Well, she gets bored, right? Because she realizes her whole plan is backfiring. Jeff Bridges left town. The other guy's gotten married. So she's bored. That's why she sleeps with the other guy. Not Timothy Bottoms. With the old guy, right?
The creepy old dude. Yeah, exactly.
And then she's like, "Well, I'm just going to start sleeping with Timothy Bottoms." At which point, I mean, she's the prettiest girl in town. Right.
Yeah.
So,
she can do anything she wants. She's the prettiest belle around.
Yeah. And Timothy Bottoms is like, "Let's go to a hotel." And she's like, No, we got all summer. And then then that's when he leaves.
So she leads him around and she's just totally manipulating him. Right.
Women.
And then Cloris Leachman, who, by the way, I also loved her transformation. She goes from very mousy to when she starts to really sort of, enjoy herself. Like this is the, look how amazing and happy she looks in that when she's with him.
Yes. Yeah. She's full of life. I mean, it's like, it's very subtle, but she is, and it's almost 100% performance.
Oh, it's all performance.
But she goes from being totally broken to totally full of life to totally broken.
Right.
It's a real ride with her. It's really, really great.
But then Jeff Bridges comes back to town for the weekend, found out about him and Sybil Shepherd, because basically he thinks he's keeping secrets, but no, he's the worst person. He's everything.
Yes. Yeah. No, we already knew that. Of course, I know that.
Yeah. Everyone knows that. And so finally, so he fights with him, breaks a bottle in his face.
Yeah. Almost cuts his eyeball.
Puts him in the hospital, and then takes off. And then Cloris Leachman tries to visit him in the hospital, but he doesn't want to see her. And then Sybil Shepherd loves all the attention that she's been getting. Tries to convince him to go get married.
Yes.
They elope. Right? That didn't go too well.
Nope.
Parents found out.
Cops bring him back.
Cops pulls him over. She gets sent off to college, right? So they annul the wedding. And you skip forward like several years, right?
Yep, right.
Or not several years, several months.
Several months, yeah.
Yeah. So his eye's better now, and he's kind of doing stuff. And he's just kind of stuck in this town, right? She's not there. And then Jeff Bridges comes by. He's joined the army. He's on leave. They chat for a little bit. They go to, they hang out in town.
It was very American Graffiti.
Yes, when he leaves, because he's going off to Korea.
He's going off to Korea, right.
Yeah.
And then so they say, well, they're closing the movie theater. It's the last show.
Let's go see one more show.
More show.
Red River?
They watch Red
I think
something.
So, yeah.
Red River, yeah. And it's just kind of like, well, the movie theaters is stopping, right? So that's it. And then there's another storm, which happened at the beginning of the movie. There was like this windstorm, right? And so it's happening again. And he's starting up in the pool hall, and he notices there's a big truck outside, and he doesn't pay attention. A bunch of people are hanging around. Mm-hmm. And then he looks and he sees a broom on the ground, and he knows it's the kid. Yeah, the young kid.
And that good like triple cut where it goes up to the brim when he realizes what's happened. It's fantastic.
The kid got hit and killed by the truck.
Yeah, the poor mentally deficient kid gets hit by a truck and is killed.
Mm-hmm. And he grabs him, sets him, and he's just angry at the guys, and is like, "These are crazy kids in this town." Yeah. Which is
I'd like to know what all your like all that great dub dialogue.
John Ford casting.
Yeah, so good. I'd like to know what he thought he was doing in the middle of the street and was sweeping the summon and he came out. It's like you said, a cattle auction.
Yeah. And so he gets in his truck. He looks at the pool hall, and this is like wonderful because you know what he's thinking, right? It's like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
She's left me, right?
Yeah.
The kid, my responsibilities were taking care of that kid or trying to be in a relationship, and now the pool hall is the only thing he has left, and he looks at it as like, why?
What the fuck? Yes.
What am I doing here?
What am I doing here?
Yep.
And then he gets into the truck and just drives off in a single, and you just see his foot down on the accelerator.
120 miles an hour straight out of town.
As fast as he can get out of town, right? Yep. And it's amazing. By the way, I got an idea. I'm going to interrupt this story just before the end because it's important. Mm-hmm. So this whole thing reminds me of a song by Terry Allen called Amarillo Highway. Mm-hmm. And it's about getting out of town. And it's amazing song. Just listen to it. Terry Allen, Amarillo Highway. I made you listen to the album, Daniel, right?
Oh, yeah. It's Lubbock all of everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Lubbock all over. Yeah, it's great.
It's an incredible thing. But I had this idea yesterday that I thought would be cool for the people on Martini Giant to do and on our Discord is every month or so, we build a Martini Giant Spotify playlist.
I love this. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Lubbock on everything would be
we can just put things in
choice.
there that we feel are like about the movies we like or about things or anything we do.
Yeah.
We can all contribute to it. I thought it would be a good idea. If anyone on our Discord would be able to tell us like, hey, this is how we can do it. I would love the idea of doing this because I think something like that would be a fun thing because I would love to add that song to.
Yep. Totally down with that.
This thing. So
and to introduce more people to Lubbock on Everything, which is a great album.
Yeah. I have. Every single song is like a movie like this one.
It's a little short film that should be made.
Short film should be made. So anyway, he decides to stop and turn around and go back because there is still one. He needs to closure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to close things with Cloris Leachman.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Goes to Cloris Leachman's house, knocks. She opens the door. She looks like hell. She's in her bathrobe. It's like 2 p.m. Like she hasn't cleaned up the house. She hasn't cleaned up herself. She looks awful. And he looks like, hangdog. And says to her, can I come in and have a cup of coffee with you? And she's like, I guess so. And takes him inside and starts making coffee. And then there's like a little bit of talk going on. And then she loses her fucking shit.
She does lose her shit.
She's trying to pour the coffee and she's shaking as she's trying to pour the coffee and then decides throws it at the wall, and she goes, "Why am I apologizing to you?
I'm always apologizing. You're not even here, and I'm apologizing to you.
Yeah, I'm always apologizing to you, and I didn't do anything wrong. You're the one who did something wrong, and it's
you
just
just thought you could leave me and not even talk to me about it because I'm just an old hag." You know, and you don't have to what's the difference? It doesn't, it's not going to work out anyway. So why do we even have to talk to her?
She's just like so angry. It's like, I'm over you. You're done. You're never going to. He's like, you think you feel bad because you lost your friend, because your friend died, and you're going to come here, and I'm going to make everything better for you.
Yeah, it's so harsh. It's so harsh. It's insane.
She is angry, and it's the first time because you know how vulnerable she is. So it's so out of character for her, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then what he does is he just puts his hand on her hand.
Yeah.
And they start to have these tender moments.
Like she takes his hand and because this is what she leads right up to saying, like, you've ruined it. You've ruined it. You ruined me. You can't get it back. There's no getting it back. There's no chance. Forget forever. And then he holds her hand and she totally takes his hand and pulls it close to her and she starts crying. I can't do it without crying. It's too much. It's too much. Like she starts crying and she starts to say something like 4 times. And she's like, it's so overwhelming. Like she's like, we can have all this back. You can see it in her eyes. Like this is this is it. Say that. She does not say this, right? And she is both smiling and sobbing simultaneously. And she's unable to speak.
I think she says, I could have done better, right?
Yeah, right. And then finally she sees in his eyes, like,
he's not
over.
Here.
Yeah, it's
He's
over.
not here for this. He's here for closure.
He is brokenhearted. His friend is dead. His life is dead. Everything. He's lost everything. And she slowly puts his hand back on the table and reaches over and pats him and says, "Don't you worry about it. Don't you mind it. Don't you mind it."
Yeah.
And then the camera pulls back and dissolves in a long, slow dissolve.
Very slow dissolve.
To the movie theater.
The dead town.
The dead town and the closed movie theater with leaves blown through in the wind. And it's like, you may as well just fucking point a gun at your chest and fire. It's gorgeous. Sad. It's incredible. It's such a, she is so good in that moment. She's great through the whole movie, but like you forget the entire rest of the movie in this one little 3-minute.
It's 2 different
scene.
movies.
Yeah.
So apparently Bogdanovich wouldn't let her rehearse it.
Oh man. Yeah.
And so she got it. That was the first take.
Oh my
and
God.
And she said, "I could do better." And he goes, "No, you can't. You just won the Oscar."
It's like, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's like there are sadder things on film, maybe 1 or 2, but I'm hard pressed to think of them. And I don't think that it's ever been so lonely and sad. Like this is the
thing. It's the loneliness.
Yeah.
Because you're so alone in that town and you know it.
Yeah.
Physically. Yeah. That it adds to this. If it was in the middle of Brooklyn, it'd be a harder scene.
Yes.
You're going out to the street and people are coming out of bodegas.
But this is just destroyed. This town is gone. Everything is gone. I mean, like this is up there with for anyone who's seen Hiroshima Mon Amour, when she is crying in the when she is talking to him in the cafe, crying, and she says, "I was so young. I used to be so young." Like it's right up there next to that scene in my mind. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Right. Yeah, it was quite it's a beautiful film. And it is it's funny, I hadn't seen this movie. I saw it not a lot. I saw it a couple times. And I remember it vividly before I lived in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing it now again, since I've lived in Texas, it's even more powerful to me.
Yeah, it's a real. It's one of the last movies of its type made in a very specific way with certain actors and
directors and people.
Yeah, exactly. So like everything about the movie is the Last Picture Show. Like really, it's not just it's not just the town. It's not just the theme. It's like it is an example of itself.
That building's still around, by the way. The movie theater.
Oh, the Rialto or the Royale, whatever it is. Yeah,
the Royale.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. That's
great. But I think you're absolutely right. It's like I couldn't quite figure out. It's like it's a 1940s film with 1970s stuff in it to throw you off.
Right. Right. And it's very, very because it balances that the utter realism of the subjects and the romanticism of the style create that elegiac feeling that everyone is trying to get a hold of in the movie, and it creates it by you watching it. Like this is a kind of movie you won't see again.
I think what adds to it significantly is their age.
Yep.
You know, if it was older couples going through this, or like
just be
if it was Kramer versus Kramer, but in that town, it would have been. It's just It's just the naivete. But they have the thing is like you in your mind are like, well, they have the rest of their lives. They're young,
right?
But the people that they're with are already through that.
Yeah, but all of the older people in this, or at least the lead characters, right? They're all just beaten down and like.
They used to be these kids. You're seeing two ages of the same personalities. Yes.
So they see themselves in these kids,
right? And the kids see themselves in the old collapsed adults,
right? Like Sybil Shepherd sees herself in her mom, and vice versa, and then
like this is what will happen to you. This is what's coming.
Yeah.
And then you get, and that's why the speech with Ben Johnson is so powerful, because he's talking about this time when
he was young.
When he was young and full of life, and this other character who you now know to be this sort of boozy, sad woman was incredibly full of life herself, and they were sharing this, and it's gone. Like it's not even remotely recapturable.
Yeah. There was another weird scene when they go to the Christmas thing, and the mother has her lover come in, right? With a date.
Yeah.
And he goes up to him right as he walks in the door with his date and just kisses him on the mouth right in front of her. And she goes,
punch you in the face.
Why? How will I let you kiss her like that? And he's like, come on, let's go dancing. And he's like, this is my date. And he's like, come on, let's go dance. And just totally just macks on him in front of the girl that he brought to the dance. Like within 5 seconds of them coming in. And she's married. And he introduces her as like, this is my boss's wife.
It's so good. So good. Yeah. And in the dance hall, it's like is the classic just fucking, it's just a box.
Yeah.
It's
like
box
with guys with fiddles, old guys with fiddles. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so everyone's so used to this kind of fucking betrayal and all this stuff. They just no one gives a shit anymore.
Yeah. And that's also the scene where Cloris Leachman and Timothy Bottoms hook up as they're cleaning up the back. That was an awkward scene too.
Oh God, dude! This
it's
whole
like,
movie.
You don't have a girlfriend? It's like, I did have a girlfriend, but she, we broke up.
Yeah, dude. It's like all the people that got upset over the relationship in Licorice Pizza. I'm like, don't see this.
Really? Why did they get upset?
Because the kid was 15 and she was 25. I'm like, yeah, don't see Harold and Maude, and definitely don't see Last Picture Show.
God, what is the matter with people?
Yeah, they forget what movies are, I guess. I'm not sure. But they
think movies are instruction manuals of role models of how you should act.
Yeah, so
I think that's what people think. It's like movies should be telling people what is appropriate and not appropriate.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that's what they think.
Yeah, and then everything has to be an example.
For a message, right?
Right. Like they want the stories to be examples of how good they feel they must be. Like I am a good person and I wouldn't do anything wrong. Like, and then they want to watch a movie that reinforces that concept. And when you have a character that doesn't change or learn, you have a boring fucking movie. Like, that's why we have these movies, these incredibly boring movies.
We're back to Barbie.
Yeah, this is how this stuff happens. Still, go see Barbie. Go see. I
still love
support
Barbie.
it.
I still love Barbie. I
good.
think there's room for both. I just think that people shouldn't be offended by these movies anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the way to have both things is the way to split it really is to say there are movies that are aspirational about saying here is someone who is good and heroic that we should aspire to be. And here is whatever, The Untouchables, Superman, Star Wars, that kind of stuff. And you can feel good about their story and aspire to be them. And then there are movies like Taxi Driver and Goodfellas and whatever. These are movies about people that you should try not to be. Like this is an example of how not to be. And you may have already been this way. Like you will empathize with these people and you will go like, oh shit, I've kind of done that. Like, and this is one of those movies. Like every one of these scenes in this movie, I'm like, I've been in a scene that makes me feel like this in my real life. And I've fucked up like this and hurt people like this in my real life. And that's when I use a movie like this to think through those problems, to try to make better choices next time.
Right.
Like that's why these movies are good for you, even though they are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's honestly, that's therapy, right? In therapy, you go to therapy to tell things that have happened to you that you make feel bad. And you, by going through that experience of talking about it, you can heal yourself.
Yes, exactly. So you come into therapy and say like, I fucked up. I hurt someone.
Right.
Like that's a real thing that you need to say. If you've done that, that's what you say because it's true. And you say it because you don't want to do that anymore. And you want to lead a different life.
Right.
Like you don't go to therapy and then pretend like you're a fucking hero and everything you've ever done is good. Because the therapist will be like, I don't know if I buy that.
Right. Okay, we are going to move on to Paper Moon, which a couple things I want to say about that is, first of all, it was supposed to be called. He was going to name it the name of the book, which is the name of the girl's character,
Addie Prey. Actually, her name is Addie, whatever, but his last name is Prey, so it's Addie. Addie Prey is the book.
But he decided he wanted to call it Paper Moon, but he wasn't sure about the title, so he asked, of course, who was he going to ask? Orson Welles.
Orson Welles,
and he goes, the title of the movie is so good, you should just release the poster and not even make the movie.
Yeah, that's fine. And then he had another bottle of wine and fell asleep on the couch.
So he suggested Paper Moon.
No. He asked Orson Welles if he approved of it or not. But listen, before we get into it, I got to go for 1 second. Yeah, okay. So you can go, and then after that, I will go and talk about it for a second. So Daniel and I will talk.
I say all that with love because I actually think Orson Welles is one of my top 3 or 4 favorite filmmakers of all time. And I didn't even feel that until recently when we did the show on Mank and I watched all of his movies at once. And it was like, this dude's fucking incredible. And his movies only get better as it goes along. Like Citizen Kane's good, but his way more interesting stuff is later. Like that's when he makes really crazy inventive shit. That's what I like.
Right.
You know? So I will still continue to tell stories about him being drunk on Peter Bogdanovich's couch, but don't take it the wrong way. I love Orson Welles.
What is it? Was it a Kodak commercial he did where he kept? It was for wine.
It's a wine commercial, that's like the he's just like drunk off his ass. They're trying to get France. And you're like, Orson, what are you doing, man? The other actors are like, is he gonna hit me? What's happening?
What's going on? Yeah, I thought it was funny. I also thought it was interesting how they portrayed him in Mank.
Mm-hmm.
As not necessarily, obviously, it was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. He wasn't necessarily seen as this genius person.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, he's a fucking narcissistic schmoozer. He's controlled. He's puppeteering everybody, and he schmoozes his way into getting all the stuff made. And I think that's a perfectly valid angle on that guy. I think he's a genius, but I don't think he's as much of a genius as he wanted you to think he was.
Right.
He's certainly a genius enough to recognize great writing, which is what Mankiewicz was offering.
Right.
Yeah. But
I haven't seen Mank in a while.
Oh
I
God,
should watch it again.
I watched that like 40 times by now. That
Really?
is one of the very best directed movies I've ever seen. That's one of Fincher's best directed films. It's so tight, so brilliantly staged.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, not for everybody. I know it's a pretty niche market, but like if you're into it, it's great. But even if you're not into it, respect. This guy knows how to make a movie.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Eric's back.
There we go.
Eric is back. Hey, Eric. Oh, he can't hear us. Okay. Hey, Eric. How are you?
How are you guys?
Good. All right. I'm now gonna excuse myself, and I will be back in a few seconds. Actually, you know what? Well, we will play a quick ad on Twitch.
There we go.
And I'll just do it a 1 minute ad break so that I can use the restroom. But I'll be back. But you guys can keep chatting because some people will not get ads. All right.
That's right. There we go.
Here we go.
Man, I tell you, I did 2 new recordings for my podcast for Love It yesterday.
Who was it?
There's a guy from the games industry that I know, a very nice name, Fred Galpern, and pardon me, and another guy that I know from a book club, and we talked about one of my favorite books, which is Middlemarch by George Eliot, and talked about that for a while. That's right, Jason. Fred Galpern. Yeah, he's terrific. Fred's doing great, and we have a long talk about music and art in an upcoming thing. And also, and this is all under the ad, that I recorded a fantastic one with Eric that'll be editing together over the next couple of weeks, and that'll be out soon. Really, really beautiful one. Lots of great thoughts on art and art production. It's very great.
That's great. Nice.
But yeah, so,
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. But yeah, so it's been a lot of mic time for me lately. A lot of mic time.
A lot of mic time. You sound like a radio guy.
You've been doing podcasts, or what you?
Yeah, I did 2 more episodes of Love It yesterday. I recorded 2 more of them, so I have a backlog of like 5 or 6 now. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It's
welcome
great.
to my world, my friend.
Yeah, dude. Well, yours was awesome. I think yours turned out fantastic. And like I'm
just talking about just recording podcasts.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But it's just like it was not only did the conversation work out really well, and you like told awesome stories, but it was a great like learning mechanism for me in so many ways. To put that one together, you were extremely helpful, and it really helped me sort of focus what I was doing a lot. So I appreciate that very much.
I'm going to show you some audition filters that I used that are great at help leveling voices.
Oh, great. Yeah, great. Yeah.
So like I use it on this podcast because everyone tends to have a different volume on their mic, and I want to try to, I can't necessarily completely control that on the live version, but people are okay with it. But then I can do it where I know I can get everyone's voice to be at the right volume. Right. Under those conditions. But the problem the first time I did it, it's a thing, it's like voice leveler thing, right? Filter. But the problem is when you take a breath, just to do this, when people talking, it levels that up. So it's like, and so you have to do these filters to cut the little breaths out and then the other one in. So I'll show you how to do it. It's kind of fun to learn these things. I've learned a lot of things.
No, it's super, super handy. I appreciate it very much.
Are you going to keep using Riverside?
I love Riverside. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. And by the way, Eric, Riverside now has a thing where it'll just make the best clips for you using quote unquote AI.
I love it. I love it.
Not that we don't use Riverside for this show for several reasons. One is our show is so freaking long, it would cost a fortune on Riverside.
Yeah, exactly.
Would it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you pay for how many hours of footage of recording you have. So it would cost us a lot of money.
Yep.
But, I mean, not a fortune, but it'd be, we have a lot of expenses for Martini Giant that are just these monthly fees for things, and I just don't want to constantly do that.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But no, it's a great tool for the kind of thing I'm doing. It's literally perfect. It gives me a lot more control over stuff. So, and it's like guarantees good video and audio, which is something that you can't get out of almost anything else.
Right. Although this is pretty good. The way we've done
This
it
has been
with
great. OBS is great.
And we get to incorporate into OBS pretty easily.
Mhm.
So yeah. All right, we are back. People still enjoy it? Okay. First of all, how many people who are on the chat? I see El Rey is here. Now, I think El Rey was our friend from Malta, right?
Hello, LRA.
Yeah. Commander Root is here. Alan Schneller is here.
Nice.
Rip was here briefly. I'm going to be seeing Rip later today to go with him to see the Meg.
Nice.
But there's several of you. How many of you guys have seen The Last Picture Show and or Paper Moon? So it'd be great to see that in chat if you've seen either one of these films. I gotta tell you,
I've seen Paper Moon more times, but that's because I get so sad after the other one.
Right. So, yeah, it's. I love The Last Picture Show is one of the greatest films of all time.
No argument.
No argument. Paper Moon is fine. It's good.
I like it. Incredibly charming and fun.
It's fun. It's good.
Like, I'm way more prone to watch Paper Moon because it's all incredibly fun. It's really sweet.
Every time I watch it, though, I'm like, I can't believe how phenomenal Tatum O'Neal is.
Oh, she's
so
like,
good.
For her age,
she's the engine of the movie.
She was 8 when they started.
It's unbelievable. And I watch and I'm like, Jesus, she was so charming and loving. You just want to squeeze her. You're like, You're so cute and smart.
Or you just want to punch her in the face, apparently. Want to say.
I can't believe that's true. He really punched her in the face.
Awful.
I think that's the story. I'm going to have to look it up.
Allegedly. Let's put it allegedly on top of it.
I'll say allegedly, but...
Adorable. And she's still beautiful today.
Yeah, she is so terrific in this movie. And the thing is, like, it's another one of those things where, like, her charm papers over some of the weaknesses that are endemic to her co-lead. Like, it's the
probably
fact
based on true life too.
Yeah, he is towing the line. He's doing it. This is probably his best acted movie, and he's very, very funny. I like him a lot in this movie. But like, him by himself isn't going to do the job. This is him and his daughter, and that's why it's working.
Okay, well, it seems more like typecasting.
Yeah.
It's a way almost, I wonder if it was a way working with her too to somehow patch up things that the mistakes he made.
Possibly. Sure.
So here's the story that I found in IMDb trivia about it. It says, in the 2020 episode of the Hollywood Movie History Podcast, You Must Remember This, the podcast's creator, Karina Longworth, reports that when the Oscar nominations for Paper Moon were announced, Tatum O'Neal was visiting her father, Ryan, in the London set of Barry Lyndon. That's okay. I got the story wrong slightly.
Okay, there we go. Right.
Tatum told Longworth that as an adult, she was the first. She has no firsthand memory of how she heard of her nomination. But some years later, she heard from Vivian Kubrick, daughter of Barry Lyndon director Stanley Kubrick, that Ryan O'Neal had been so upset that Tatum had been nominated, and he hadn't. That on hearing the news, Ryan socked his daughter.
Wow.
Tatum had blocked that part out. When Tatum won the award, becoming at age 10 of the youngest person ever to win a competitive Oscar, neither of her parents were in the attendance.
That's wild. Can you imagine that?
Is that a crazy story?
Dude, it's one thing to miss your kid's football game. But
their Oscar.
That's never going to be forgotten.
That says so much.
Yeah. And there was also a lot of controversy about the Oscar because she was nominated for Best Supporting Role, and she was not supporting.
The star of
she is the star of the movie, right? And so Madeline Kahn is like, she shouldn't have been nominated for Best Supporting Role. I should have been nominated for Best Supporting Role. She is the main actress.
She's the fucking main character. This is it.
Yeah. So there was some controversy over this, Bogdanovich admitted that there was a mistake.
Yeah.
When that happened.
Well, because they choose how they're going to, like what category they're going to chase down. Like, well, for your consideration as blah, blah, blah. Right. And so it's actually a bit of a political thing from the studio, totally. Right? Yeah, like they will aim at the thing that they feel they have the best chance of getting. And I'm sure with such a young actor, they were like, we'll get it if we go for supporting, we won't get it if we go for best.
And Linda Blair was also nominated.
Oh yeah,
for Exorcist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's understandable. She is great.
Tatum O'Neal still has the record for the youngest person to win an Oscar.
Yeah. And because
she was 10. I mean, that's hard to beat. It's going to take. I don't know.
Yeah. Like there's like Henry Thomas, her. Who else? There's like maybe one other kid actor that's that good. Like these are legendary performances. Very, very hard to find. From the kid, Jackie Coogan. Yeah. Like that's once in a while you get a kid that's this good. That's why like I don't criticize kid actors when they suck, because I expect them to suck. They're kids. I criticize directors for casting people, like that aren't old enough to do the job right.
So apparently he was really hard on her. He made her do like 30 or 50 takes.
Right.
And because she kept messing up, and he says it was the hardest directing he'd ever done, because she had to direct a kid. Yeah. And again, she's a kid. Of course, she's. Yeah. What do you expect? Right?
What do you get? Yeah, she's fucking 8. Like, what are you gonna get? Come on, man.
Yeah.
But it is a terrific performance. She is so insanely charming and funny, and like you utterly buy that she can outwit anybody in this movie the whole time. Yeah, it's really, really something to see.
Right. But another piece of trivia I thought was interesting is there's a scene where they're driving in a car just like this. Well, behind us right now, if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll say, if you're listening to just the audio, watch us on YouTube. But anyway, they're driving and they're talking about the Bibles, running out of Bibles, or whatever. And it's it's very long take scene, right? Mm-hmm. And they had a piece of road that was about a mile long. Mm-hmm. And every time, if they didn't get the take and they had to, they would mess it up, they had to drive all the way back.
You reset the entire thing.
Reset the whole thing, because they couldn't keep going forward, because then it would look too modern.
Right.
So they had to do it back, and it took them 2 days to get the one shot. Because they had to do it like 30 times and just drive back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
That's nuts. That's infuriating.
And every time they would mess up a line, do it over again.
Shades of Babylon right there.
Yes.
Was Babylon like that?
Babylon, that the trying to get the good take bit.
Trying to get the good take of her coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hello, college.
Well, hello, college.
Man.
Everyone hated Babylon. You see, that's another example. And they hated Blonde. That's another example.
I know.
I don't know. Like, I don't get hating Blonde. It's a masterpiece.
Like, yeah, well, the thing is, because hating Babylon I can understand, because Babylon is intentionally a very abrasive movie. Blonde is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So just on the visuals alone level, people should have been talking about that, but they didn't. They couldn't even get that far, let alone how good the film is. They couldn't even talk about how good looking the film was. Really, they got it. We're in a really weird time when you don't recognize that that's a great work of art.
We are.
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, El Rey said Paper Moon is amazing.
Good to see hey, nice.
Yes. But definitely watch The Last Picture Show, El Rey, because seriously, get ready.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It is one of the greatest films ever made. But you have to be ready for it.
But
don't
Make sure you're prepped.
Make sure you're prepped.
If you are already sad, do not watch.
I watched it first thing this morning when I woke up.
Yeah.
And it was honestly speaking, I know it's sad, right? But it's like a cathartic experience.
Exactly. That's the best thing. That's actually the best thing. Is like when you see a movie that's that good, you can't help but be a little happy that it exists, no matter how fucking heartbreaking it is. It's incredibly well done.
You know, I'm looking at this in black and white and this black and white background. I'm almost thinking like we should do everything black and white.
I love it. Let's do it. I know we probably won't do that, but just for the moment, let's
pretend we will.
Let's pretend like we will.
Yeah.
Looks pretty great. It's pretty great.
Yeah,
it is good that way.
it is.
Hey, man. It's you can. That's how you, like I said at the beginning of the show when I watched Avatar in black and white. It's how you can tell whether a movie holds up, and now you know we hold up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turn the sound off.
That's
Turn
right.
the sound off.
Turn the sound off.
Yep. All
That's
right.
it.
You
all right,
could turn the sound off.
I want you guys to tell a little more about the plot of Paperman. I'll do interjecting a little bit. So how does it start?
It starts
With a funeral.
Yeah,
That's
with
right.
a funeral, like it's right behind Daniel right now.
Yep, there it is. Yeah, this little girl, her mom has passed away. She's got nobody to take care of her, it's basically it's Dust Bowl times. It's a pretty grim time in American history, and at the funeral is Ryan O'Neal, who
shows up. He shows up.
Shows up late. And Ryan O'Neal was an old friend of her mom's,
Who we get a feeling was kind of a floozy.
Who was a floozy. She's a bar hall gal. And that's why she knew Ryan O'Neal. It is strongly
decides to show up out of nowhere.
Right. And Ryan O'Neal is a scam artist.
He's a
salesman from out of St. Louis.
Yes.
Bible salesman. Okay, but the thing is, I wanted to looking at this movie, I was like, what we could have paired it with? It's another movie that I like. I don't think it got very well recognized, or maybe I should watch it again and say, oh, maybe it's not as good. But the Flim Flam Man.
Oh yeah. I like Flim Flam Man. That's a good one
with George C. Scott.
George C. Scott.
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And so it was all about basically it's con artist. It's con artist. And so he is a con artist.
Right.
And he prays. Go ahead.
Yeah. Right. Like one of his big things is selling. He looks through the what do you call it? The obituaries, finds women whose husbands have just died, and then goes to their house and says, "Oh, your husband ordered this Bible for you, and it hasn't been paid for, but he has your name inscribed right here because he's saw them in the obituary. He has the name written in the Bible, and he gets these widows to buy Bibles that their husbands never ordered for them with their name in them, which is scummy."
The deluxe edition.
The deluxe edition, exactly.
And his name is inscribed, and he basically has a machine in the back. He just makes the name,
stamps it. Exactly. So, when he is at this funeral, he is like, it is assumed that he is somehow responsible for the existence of the little girl.
Your jaw looks the same.
Your jawline looks suspiciously. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And he agrees to at least. Oh, go ahead.
To help, right?
Yes, he's going to help.
He basically says,
the woman says, like, "Hey, you got to go." Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Take her to the train station.
It's fine. It's fine. Keep going. You're right.
So I'll take her to the train station because she's got to get to, her aunt and uncle out in the middle of nowhere somewhere. And he's like, "I'll go that far. We'll do that much." Right. And so, Addie, the young girl, is, she looks just sort of like sad and pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
She's
like the leftover luggage.
Yeah, basically.
Who's going to take this luggage somewhere?
Right. Just like, God damn it. What are we you can't just leave this girl out in a field. That'd be weird. And
there's only like 3 people at the funeral.
Right.
And it's like, it's the guy who's burying her.
Yeah.
The priest that's reading it. And this woman who's like, someone's got to get this kid out of here.
Someone's got to get the kid. Yeah, I can't do it. You got to do it. And he's like, all right,
He
fine.
opened his mouth, and
Right.
there she is. She's
But
like,
he has
I can go.
he has this great idea of like, I can scam the dude the brother of the guy who hit and killed her mother. I can scam that guy into giving me some money to care for the girl. Like, and I'm gonna leverage this one moment and get a pile of money, right? And so this is what he does, right? And he ends up with $200. The girl, Addie, hears all this stuff, and she's like, "You motherfucker, that's my $200."
By the way, did he not remind you of James Woods in Casino?
Yeah, basically.
Right? It's the con man.
Same kind of scumbag.
Yeah.
Right. And so the adventure that kicks off, right, is that she's gonna she gets him to travel, gets him to allow her to travel with him until he pays back her $200.
Right.
And that's why they're going to go on the road together, essentially scamming widows out of petty cash.
She basically becomes a co-conspirator.
Yeah, she becomes
Yeah,
a criminal
but
with this
for her
dude.
father's love.
Yes. And
Well,
so
we don't know it's her father, but yes. It's her father.
Well, she's smart
Literally
enough to
as
It
well.
is literally her father. The actor is her
yeah,
father.
but if she's smart enough to know, to listen to the door and then con him out of stuff and say, "You owe me my money."
Yes.
She's smart enough to know that it is her father, and he knows what she's about.
Right.
She knows what he's about, so she desperately just tries to always.
She wants to prove it.
Right.
Well, and also, she wants to keep him around
Yeah, exactly.
because
And
she
so,
doesn't have anybody.
She's starting to like the lifestyle.
yeah, exactly. Because there's sort of shades
she
of
likes the lifestyle because it brings her closer to her father.
yes.
Which
So
she doesn't have.
this has shades of stories like True Grit operate this way, where it's like these a father-daughter style pairing that are highly resistant to saying that they like one another until they're forced finally to admit that they love one another. Right. And so like they're constantly bickering the entire fucking movie. Like she is like basically acting like this tiny adult all the time. Like she's smarter than him. She's quicker than him.
A little bit of Shirley Temple. And
Right.
by the way, if we didn't have this movie, we would not have Bugsy Malone, because I think Bugsy Malone came like a year or two later.
Oh, that's right, dude. That's right.
And
With
it's like,
Jodie Foster.
Give these sharp kids. And
That's
let's
right.
make-
They made Jodie Foster, speaking of which, they made a TV series about Paper Moon starring
With
Jodie
Jodie
Foster.
Foster. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I never saw it, but yeah, I bet you can find it.
Apparently
on
it didn't
YouTube.
go so well. But
Yeah, that's the way
you
it
know
goes
what
in this stuff.
actually would have been another interesting pairing with this movie?
Mhm.
Blue
The
Thunder.
Professional.
Oh, The Professional, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's that movie. That movie is 100%
Besson.
canceled right now. That's on the extreme canceled list
Why is everything
Why
so
is that?
canceled?
because of the sense that there's a sort of romance going on between the assassin and Natalie Portman. And Natalie Portman's like, well, it was of a different time when we made that movie. And I'm just like, the whole idea of this movie is that he is as dumb as a little kid. Like, this is a weird little kid adventure story. Like, that's what's going on. And it makes you feel awkward because he is not a little kid. That's why the movie works. But people are just like highly upset that seems to promote like pedophilia. And I'm just like, your awkwardness is what the movie is talking about. Like, the way you feel is the way the movie feels. Also, that's
Man,
what
they're
it's trying to
just going
simulate for you.
after everything.
Yeah, it's just it's ridiculous. But anyway, I understand that
gotta
people
At
feel
some
awkward.
point,
Know
at some
Know that the
point,
movie wants you to feel awkward.
They have to
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah,
at some
Because
point
they're
they
going
have
to
to
run out of
stop.
films.
yeah. Well,
Right.
like you pointed out, what is weird is that when you see a movie like Blonde, or you see a movie where the movie is trying to make you uncomfortable, the first thing I think is the movie agrees with me that this is uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah, that's why they're doing it.
that's why they're doing it. Like, they know
Right.
that I know that this is uncomfortable, and that's what they're making me confront. Right. As
Right.
opposed to, they don't know that I would be offended by this. Like, yeah, I do find it offensive. That's why it's uncomfortable. That's why the movie works. That's why Taxi Driver works.
Irreversible.
Irreversible, exactly.
Oh
like,
my
yes,
God.
I'm very
Gaspar
aware that
Noir.
this is not entertainment.
He probably has trouble getting funding, Gaspar Noir, right now.
He certainly has to work in very rarefied areas of the world. That's very true. But in any case, so with this movie, this is the opposite of irreversible.
It's not uncomfortable, but it is definitely there is some awkwardness between him and this girl, which they manage comically very well.
Yes, it is hysterically funny all the time. Bright,
Coney
easy
Island,
fun.
The Coney Island scene was
Coney Island. It's so good, man. Like, and she's like, this is like watching a 2
delicacy.
hour.
Calls it a delicacy.
That's a delicacy. Like, this is like watching a 2 hour version of the bit in True Grit when Maddie gets the dude to pay for the horses that he owned. Like that little scene. Like the entirety of Paper Moon is. She's basically outwitting her dad over and over and over again. Yeah. And it's hysterically funny. It's incredibly charming.
And so it's funny is like, for example, like you get he's done this drift a million times, right? And he's like, you got the deluxe edition, it's $12, right? And so he does this whole $12 bit, right? And so she spends more time reading the person, and she notices that one woman is like unbelievably poor with all these kids, and he's trying to and he goes, don't you remember, Daddy? She already paid for the Bible. Here you go, ma'am. And she like gives him the Bible and is like, wait, what the hell? And then he goes to another house where the woman is clearly very, very rich.
Yeah.
And very nice. But he's like, and she goes, how much for the Bible? And she says, $24. And it's like, oh, wait, what?
So good. It's so good.
So she evens it out in the end. And he's like, you can't be making decisions for me, which is really funny. You know?
Yeah,
it's great.
Awesome.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's super breezy, very easy. And like in the background, there's sort of like a little tiny touch of just a flavoring of deeper sadness. Like there's the background story that's happening as you're going to these houses and seeing these depressed lives.
Yeah, this is Dust Bowl times.
It's Dust Bowl times, and you're really getting a sketch of America that is sort of like it's a lighter, less depressing version of The Last Picture Show is happening just beyond the lens. And that's what gives the movie a little bit of heft.
It's almost the same time period as his previous movie.
Yes.
And it's like, you kind of wonder what...
No, it's not. This is earlier, right?
Yeah, it's about 30 years earlier, but it's like it still has that same kind of corruptive rot has spread everywhere.
True.
Right? And so the tone is very much the same.
20 years.
And there's a sense...
You're right, Eric. But the thing that I think that is that this movie is about all of America, and the other one was about this one
little thing. Exactly. And so like what's really great is that he applies, especially for the poor characters, he applies the same, even though the movie itself, all the upfront stuff is very broad, very comedy based, very like cartoonish characters.
This is the comedy version of The Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah, comedy version of The Grapes of Wrath. And when they show something that is serious, he films it with realism. You know, like he still tunes the movie to be appropriate for what the subject is in the moment all the time. And so you can feel that weird sadness and depression lurking around the edges of the movie throughout the entire project. And that's what makes the movie better than just sort of like a fluffy ride. It has a little tiny bit of weight to it that I like quite a bit. You know, it's like I love movies like what's the Steve Martin Michael Caine movie?
It's called Dirty Rotten
Scoundrels.
Yeah, like that's a movie where there's no weight to that at all. It's just froth and it's incredibly fun, right? But this thing has
Mother?
like not mother. Yeah,
Mother?
like
Not mother?
Ruprecht, I told you if you don't like it's totally
get
awesome.
You some new pots and pans.
Yes, exactly.
I want my Gram.
I want my grab. Like that's a great movie, but it's not like it has a lot of historical heft, you know. And so this movie has that plus a little bit of weight to it.
Well, this was
it does have historical theft, though. And if I could just point this out,
please.
That is the same house that they shot that one movie with James Mason in '74 that we saw.
The Onion Field?
No, remember
Lolita?
we made a poster about it, and it was like the ridiculously stupid spy movie from '75. We did a watch.
Yeah, what was that thing? Shoot.
Oh,
That was great. Yeah. What was the name of that thing? It was amazing.
The Marseille something.
Yeah, the Marseille
that
contract.
house
That wasn't
that
even the
James
title.
Mason lived in is the same damn house in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
That's true.
On the
Historical
French
heft.
Yes.
Yeah, because that was this classic movies where the title is actually like the Marseille contract or something like this,
Yeah.
but then it's listed as the explodables or something like that, whatever the fuck it was.
Expendable-
Yeah, like,
No, the something with a D. I don't remember.
the dangerousables. It's just
The Dangerousables.
I think it was the
it's so
Dangerousables.
bad. It was so bad. It's just like, oh shit, it's not selling. The Marseille contract isn't selling. What do we call this thing? They hack in something else. Yeah, it's so
Was
good.
it James Mason? Destructors.
The Destructors, yes.
Thank you, Jason.
The Destructors, yes. the blow-upables. I think that's
The
it.
blow-upables. The McBoomables.
The McBoomals, yes. McBoom. McBoom, good film. Some tickets.
Still tickets.
Yeah, man. But yes, yeah. So this is a bit of a weightier film than we're tending to describe it, but it's basically upfront broad comedy galore, all hinging on Tatum O'Neal. And if you want to see just an example, look up the Eat Your Coney Island routine. Is just hysterically funny. It's one of the funniest routines in 70s movies, period. It's just perfect. So
basically, he gets her a hot dog and a soda and calls it a delicacy.
Calls it a
She
delicacy.
should be happy to have a hot dog.
Exactly. And to any other
Well, in
8-year-old,
that time period, probably,
Yeah, it's like I spent $2 on that hot dog. Yeah, it's insane.
No, 25 cents.
25 cents. Yeah.
It's like,
And the entire time she's like, no, she's not having. She's like, I want my $200 back, you asshole. You went and bought a fancy fucking car.
You watch a movie like that and you realize like the cost of living back then. Like,
oh yeah,
they
Jesus.
talk about things that you're like, oh my God, that's right. It was
That'd be 25 cents.
Wow,
Whole bag of groceries.
Whole dinner. It's like, what?
Exactly.
It's really strange to see.
yeah. And I was thinking about that in the last picture show when he shows up. You remember, and he gets like a cookie and a soda, and he's like,
right.
You've already spent a dime and you haven't even had a good breakfast yet.
Yeah, that's right.
What?
So good.
Remember
so
that?
good. Yeah, that's awesome.
But
Always
you look
spend a
at that
dime.
stuff and you're like, man, things were so different.
Cheap.
Yep.
Cheap.
Yep, it's so good, man. But yeah, so they hit the road, they rip people off, and things like it becomes this thing of just high living. Like they're very successful. She's very smart, and it's good times for a while until he meets Madeline Kahn, and Madeline Kahn is a prostitute. And she's pretending like she's
tinkle tinkle.
and she's
What is it, Tinkly Winkly or something?
Yeah, something like that, right? And this like throws the entire project.
Well, let's call her more of an escort.
Yes, yeah, and she's a part-time prostitute, and she's definitely sees he's trying to play himself up as a big hoot, right? And so Madeline Kahn's like, oh, I can take him for a ride. And so she's basically trying to scam him.
She's trying to scam him. And she also has a maid hand with her.
Yes. And with an African-American girl who's her assistant the whole time, who's just like, in a reflection of Addie and her dad, like, this girl is the smart one, and Madeline Kahn's the fucking screechy moron.
Right.
Ugh.
Right. And,
however, I will note that the scenes where the two young girls are talking to each other is the worst acting.
I'd say like she's not a comparable actor.
No.
And so like it's just, you can't hit twice in the same machine. That's just not going to happen.
It's very awkward. It's very hard. They just basically pop up, deliver line. It felt like a middle school
It was
play.
Disney.
Yeah.
No, it was Disney. It was a Disney movie. It's like Escape to Witch Mountain.
That's right. The cast from outer space.
Should we get into the RV? Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's
but,
Benji?
But Addie is not having any of it with Madeline Kahn.
No.
Like, she's just like, she's a fucking hooker, and she's just here to, like, she gets Ryan O'Neal to buy her a whole goddamn new car. So wastes all of the money that Addie and him have been building up to pay Addie back on a new car for Madeline Kahn.
Right.
And Madeline Kahn knows that this little girl is onto her.
Yeah, is blocking her.
Is blocking her. Like, she's the nemesis.
Apparently there was a story where, like, when she says, is like, when he tries to convince to let Madeline Kahn sit in the front seat, she goes, oh, let Trixie, can Trixie sit in front with her big old tits or something like that?
Yeah,
she says,
right.
Apparently, Madeline Kahn did not want to say that. She thought it was too vulgar.
Really?
And so she just wasn't comfortable. And I was like, well, just, so she only did it once, and that was the take they said. But if you look at that take in a movie, apparently she's got this cringe.
She doesn't want to say it. Yeah, it doesn't want to say it.
Yeah.
Right. That's funny. Yeah. That's really funny. But yeah,
she didn't want to say it in front of her because she was young.
I don't know what it was, but it was just something that made her not feel comfortable about it. So
right. But yeah, so like there's a lot of pressure and tension between these two until finally the other girl and Addie come up with a plan to like they tell what is like a fucking a hotel guy essentially hook this random dude up with Madeline Kahn. Madeline Kahn's like, oh, I can make a little bit of money on the side. This is going to be great. And she goes to sleep with a guy, and then they immediately tell Ryan O'Neal, like, oh yeah, just upstairs. And then Ryan O'Neal walks in and sees that she is sleeping with somebody else. And he's like, well, fuck this.
Yeah, but she arranged it.
She arranged it. Exactly.
Yeah, they did the whole thing. They set it up.
And so Maddie is like, she's going to have it. Like Addie's going to have it her way. Like, she's like, this is my faux dad, and we are on the road together. We're going to do it this way. Right. And so she's taking ownership essentially of his scams. She's like, no, this is our adventure.
Because he's a knucklehead.
He's a knucklehead.
Oh, he's a total knucklehead. Exactly. He's a total knucklehead.
And so from there on, like the adventures get a little bit sort of grimmer.
They do
by the end. Right, because it's a road movie, and basically it's just they run from one adventure to the next.
They do a scam. He runs a scam against a bootlegger.
Yes, right.
So explain that one, Eric.
Yeah, so basically they end up at this place, and they're driving, and they go to a place, and Addie is the one that spots him, and it's the guy from Magnum P.I., and she said, he's got a wad of money, and then Ryan O'Neal says, well, if he's got a wad of money in these parts, he's probably a bootlegger. Mm-hmm. And so she keeps an eye on her. She's like, well, he's going in the back. So, well, let's follow him. So Addie follows him and sees that he goes in the back, grabs booze, and comes back and sells it to somebody. So she tells him, he says, well, what if I go into the back? He goes into the back where the shed is and discovers all this booze.
Right.
Not with Addie. And he decides that I'm going to steal the booze.
Right. We could resell this.
Resell it to the exact same guy.
Right. Sell his own booze back to him.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah. It's a Miami Vice plot line, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. It's called the move, actually, is when you do something like that. If I stole something from you and I resold it to you, you didn't know, it's called a Crockett and Tubbs.
It's a Crockett and Tubbs.
And that's the old expression. It's, you pulled a Crockett and Tubbs on me.
Yeah, you think you could do that? Get away with it?
No one pulls a Crockett and Tubbs on me.
That's right.
So they do that. And then, of course, the dark stuff comes. Like, they think they're successful in their exploits, and then all of a sudden,
it turns out the bootlegger's brother is the sheriff.
Yeah.
This goes far wrong.
So here's an interesting thing. So the bootlegger and the sheriff are played by the same actor, and he had 2 weeks to change his look and lose a bunch of weight or something like that to be able to play a different character and seem like he's a different person.
Right. This is good stuff. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Chris, you are totally on the, I'm the internet researching. Did you use GPT-4?
This is it.
No.
ChatGPT says that.
Literally just IMDb trivia. But it was very interesting to listen to all these things. Like, what the crazy stories.
Yeah. It's wild. That's what, I can imagine, like, cause like some of my great favorite performances are people playing those kinds of dual roles. Like I love, in Deadwood when, what's his name who plays, Wild Bill, not Wild Bill, right? The guy who kills Wild Bill, ends up playing another villain 2 seasons later, and he looks totally different, and you don't even recognize it's the same actor because he's changed himself so much. I love that kind of stuff. And so like this is pretty fun, but 2 weeks is not enough time.
No,
Like,
wasn't enough
Like
time.
Marlon
not-
Brando in Taxi Driver. You didn't know.
Like, I didn't know that he
No,
was
that-
Scorsese in the
Nice,
back of the cab. That's
Yeah.
Brando.
That's
Incredible. Incredible. Fresh off of Last Tango.
Yeah,
Still,
how
just like
how
that.
come that scene is not banned?
Yeah, I know. When he's
Last
in the cab
Tango?
like that.
No. Scorsese in the cab scene, he is so horrible, and
He is
uses,
horrible.
like horrible language and
Yes.
like really demeaning stuff. And it's
What a
like
45 can do.
I think people haven't gotten around to Taxi Drivers. Like they just got the French Connection. They'll get the Taxi Driver. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. The taxi driver's going to get turned into, hey, you want to ride? Credits.
Go. Ban. Stand out of a movie theater. Like, go.
That's
go,
right.
Go. Come on, everybody. Let's ban it.
Can't have any of that stuff, brother. But yes, so they end up being pursued by
Which
bad
is a
people.
great scene.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then so they get pursued and they get thrown in jail.
Well,
Yep.
no. Oh, wait. Yes.
Yes, first jail. Yes.
Yes. Okay,
First
I'm sorry.
jail, then freedom. Tonight at 8. No, they get thrown in jail, and Mr. Magnum PI basically interrogates him. He gets bored. Maddie has all the money hidden in her hat.
That's
and so
right.
Yes.
that's how they get around it. So eventually, she, grabs the key. When they spill all her stuff out from her little play box, which is an old cigar case, she notices a key that is to the car. So she says, I need to go to the bathroom. So he follows her and a cop follows him because they're under arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they run out of the car. And it's a very throw your mama, not throw your mom from a train. What was the one that stop or my mom will shoot? Kind of hijinks moment where she's
Right.
like, run. That was a little bit of, a little of that, stop or my mom will shoot.
Yeah,
But
right.
it was definitely, they escape in the car. She's in control, really.
Mhm.
That's where it becomes a little bit of a Disney thing,
Yeah, right.
where
It's
she
kind
is
of a
more
fantasy.
in
Right.
control. Like, I have a map and da-da-da. It becomes
Right.
Goonies.
Yeah.
It has a little. Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah, she
And the
becomes
Cyndi Lauper
she becomes
song
outside of the
for-
script. Yeah.
Paper
Good
Moon.
enough. Yeah, exactly.
Paper Moon.
Yeah, she
Right.
becomes a little outside the script smart, which is what you don't want to do. Like
Yes.
you want her to be
Right.
smart, like smart within
she's
the script.
8.
Yeah.
Let's keep. Oh, by the way, another piece of trivia: her smoking cigarettes in the car, which was
real.
behind Eric. So those cigarettes were not real cigarettes.
Close.
There you go.
No, they were lettuce leaves, and it made her really sick.
Oh, nasty, dude. Why? Oh God,
I
just
don't
give her a
know
cigarette.
why.
That's
She was
bizarre.
inhaling it, though. I noticed her inhaling.
Yeah,
Well, she
I
does when
noticed that
she's smoking in bed.
And then
like,
it
she's
held, and it wasn't in her mouth. So she was like,
Yep.
and some came
That's
out of her
real.
nose. I was like, wow, she's inhaling cigarettes.
Why would you smoke lettuce? That sounds like a terrible idea.
I don't know why, but it was funny.
Yeah, man.
Well,
oh,
it's a
man, dude.
vegetable, too. Very similar
true.
family of
That's very
tobacco.
true. Yep. Oh, there you go. It is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa
That's
used to say he doesn't do
Don't
drugs.
worry, it's not tobacco. It's hemp.
Yeah, it's just hemp. She's a good actor. Yeah, she's screamingly high the whole time.
All right, Eric, you're on a roll. Keep going. What happens with them when they the little hijinks?
So they go on the hijinks and they escape.
Yes.
So eventually they end up in Missouri, or another part of the state, out of the jurisdiction of the
a
cops.
different state, right? A different state.
Or out of a jurisdiction or county that was different from the cops that chased them.
Right.
So they go to a hotel. He has a plan to do something with a businessman, which will incorporate all the money that they've stolen, $621 from the bootlegger.
Mm-hmm.
She stays back at the hotel, which you can already tell by the way so happy she is. That you're like, okay, something bad's going to happen.
It's not going to work out now. Yes.
And so,
Well,
they
she
go-
feels like it's like, oh, I'm with my dad. I'm in business. We're making shit happen, right?
Well,
Like,
I have
right.
a dad.
I have
Yeah,
a dad.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's very much like the 20s thing, like the kid or any of the kind of heartstring pulling that you saw in movies from the 20s and 30s, where the kid, I'm saving the kid, or,
Such as The Kid.
well, no, there's the kid, and there's a couple other movies where in that vein,
Right.
where it's just like they're lost and they need somebody to take care of them and have to persuade them to take care of them.
Yep.
And so basically, he goes out to do this deal, but as soon as he gets out, the guys that were chasing him beat the shit out of him. And I think the best scene in the movie is she goes to the bank to see if he's closing the deal, and she sees the guy. The guy looks at his watch like, that guy's late, which is her father. And so she basically stands there and see him leave, like, where did my father go? And as the man walks away, the best scene for me, you hear this, Addie.
Yes.
He's beaten up and he's in like a stairwell beaten up. He's too embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was such a beautiful scene for me.
Yeah, it's great.
And I thought that was great. I think that's a great scene.
And so they lost everything.
Yeah, they lost everything. And what does she say? Well, we'll go out and make more. We can
sell
run more
scams. We can buy more Bibles.
And he's like,
that's right.
We are.
She just wants a parent.
Yep. And
she wants that love. And I don't care if he's a con man. I'll take it.
And the reverse side of this is that he doesn't want to do this with her anymore because he cares about her, and it's endangering to her. And he's like, I got to drop you off.
Does he realize that he's not a good person? And he kind of deserves it?
Yeah, like a little bit. I think a little bit. A touch. I think he's grown a little bit by the end of the movie. I think that he really loves her by the end of the movie. And he tries to make the right call. You know, like, you can't be with someone like me is what he's thinking. And he's going to bring her to drop her off at the place where he initially said he would drop her off with the distant cousins of so and so. And he does, leaves her there. She checks it out. She sees the house, and she's like, fuck this.
Yeah, even though there's a lot of love there.
That's the thing, right? So she's like, you're here, you're with your cousin or whatever it is, and they're gonna take care of you. And she's like, no
way.
No, after all this stuff I've been involved with, I'm gonna settle in and be a good little girl in this little house. Nope.
And she convinces him, like, there's there's plenty of, like, says there's plenty of other scams we can run right nearby, and hops in the car together, and they ride off down the road for more adventures that we don't get to see. Yeah, which is lovely, which is a lovely way to end a movie.
Yeah.
But I love this movie. I think this movie is one of the most charming movies of the period.
Yep, and she holds it together. She basically
she's a superstar. And like in the timing, like Bogdanovich does a really nice job with it. It's a really nicely timed old school comedy movie, and he really gets that right. And like there's enough, there's enough like meat on the bone for like real drama is happening somewhere in this movie to connect it to Last Picture Show, right? To have a little bit of that. But what's really funny is that it may be his very next movie is What's Up, Doc, right? Yeah. And What's Up, Doc is fucking hysterically funny. And that is not in the slightest bit serious. And it's shot in color. And it's got Barbra Streisand, and Ryan O'Neal. And it's like an utterly modern 70s version of slapstick. And so this is like the last, like, there's a weird bit of
old-timey about everything.
Yeah, exactly. He tries to carry the old-timiness into modern days. And I think it works very well, but it's very strange as opposed to like when you watch it in the context of this movie, like it works beautifully because
but he didn't have Polly Platt.
But he didn't have Polly Platt. That's true.
By that time, he didn't have her in his life helping her make decisions.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
But she was involved in Paper Moon, though.
No, I'm talking about What's Up.
What's Up, Doc? Yeah. What's Up, Doc? Still great. Terrific movie. But it doesn't have that level of great filmness that certainly Last Picture Show does, and this one has a little tiny touch of. Like, it's just a great comedy. Barbra Streisand is very funny, and she makes up for fucking Ryan O'Neal in that movie. So yeah, and Madeline Kahn also. Like, everybody's doing Ryan O'Neal's work in that movie.
Yeah, it's just surprising to me that you see these two movies, right? and you look at them and you realize how much crossover they have with Mel Brooks out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
Right?
Kenneth Mars also. Yeah, like it's just like everybody. Madeline Kahn.
Yeah.
Like loads and loads.
But that's the whole scene in Hollywood in the 70s.
Such a great, such talent. And yes, let's all recognize that Frau Brucher was one of the greatest dramatic actors of all time.
It's true. She'll be remembered for Frau Brucher. That's fine. It's great. That's also hysterical. You know,
or what's the nurse, whatever, in High Anxiety?
High Anxiety, yes. Like her comic stuff deserves to be remembered as well as her drama, but you will
Nurse
be
Ratched
shocked.
is from the other one.
Oh, Nurse Ratched from what's
One Flew Over the
Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah, exactly. That's
what was her name? Nurse something in High Anxiety. It was very funny. Very funny.
Hang on, that is Cloris. Yeah, Cloris Leachman. Here in High Anxiety. Oh God, even this photo of her is hysterical.
Yes.
There we go. Give me the name. What's her name? Hang on. Cloris. Oh yes, Nurse Diesel.
Nurse.
Well, of course. Yeah,
that's worth the search. Nurse Diesel.
Yeah. Oh my God, she is.
Finish your strudel. That scene where remember that with the glass table?
Yes,
so it's the best.
Yeah, she's a genius. She's a genius, and
she was a customer of Nancy's, wasn't she?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Nancy knew her, and I can't say the stories online, but I'll tell you after.
But yes, let's just put it together. The very intimate thing with Cloris Leachman. She's just got to be a character, like in life.
Oh,
I
sure.
think she passed, right?
Yes, I believe so. I think so. Yeah. Yes, I'll double check on that right now. But she is Cloris Leachman. Yes, she died in 2021.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But
Madeline Kahn died way too young. She died of breast cancer way too young.
Yeah.
Well, she was like 50 something.
Yeah, very young, very young. And Leachman went on to do great stuff. Mary Tyler Moore Show, where she played Phyllis. She's great, and lots of great character work. But it's like, fuck, man, nobody recognized how good this woman was. Like, she should have been much bigger than she was.
Also, she played the mother or the grandmother in Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh my God, that's right, man. Oh man,
I'm just putting it together.
There it is. Slowly
Malcolm in the Middle had her and the guy from they're both in Young Frankenstein.
And Kenneth Mars. Yeah. That's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. Kenneth Mars, man. I love me some Kenneth Mars. Can't get enough of that. That's a film festival in itself. I swear to God.
And who's the I'm name blanking right now because the monster in Young Frankenstein is played by
Peter Boyle.
Peter Boyle.
Yeah.
Karen and I were
also
just
dead.
Also died, passed. Yes, that's too bad.
Karen and I were just watching Young Frankenstein just before the podcast because I was like, after watching Paper Moon, I needed Last Picture Show, I needed a palate cleanser, and Young Frankenstein seemed to make sense. And the scene with Gene came up and she goes, I think this is my favorite. I think this is the best scene of the whole movie with Gene.
It is
warm your
literally
hands.
perfect. It's so perfect and it really comes down to one moment because like Hackman is hysterically funny, but the funniest moment goes to
Boyle when breaks the glass.
No, when Hackman lights his thumb on fire.
So
right?
good, the warmth of the fire.
he's got like his thumb is on fire, and he goes down. Just breathe in until the tip glows because he thinks it's a cigar. And like Boyle looks at his thumb and goes, "Huh." Like he considers it for a second, like, "Oh, this is pretty good."
I love it when he breaks the glass and he just looks at it like, he just has this
rolls
perfect
his eyes.
expression of like, huh?
You got to be fucking kidding
And
me.
he did the same thing with the young girl. It's like, oh, we're all out. What else should we throw into the well?
Yeah. And the girl is, because the girl's so annoying, she's like, what do we throw in the water now? And he just looks at the camera like, okay. Yeah, that's like, it's these, I mean, the Hackman is amazing with soup, yes. Hot soup.
warmth. The warmth.
It's so funny.
Cigars. Yeah,
But you just,
it's amazing.
of all people to cast in that role.
Oh, in the height of his seriousness. Like, he's like, French Connection, I never sang for my father, fucking The Conversation, and the blind old guy from Young Frankenstein.
It's perfect.
You know, they
And I
probably
think
did
that just shows
Yeah.
the brilliance of Gene Hackman.
Yes.
I mean, it's not Gene Hackman. It's like Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because I always like, oh, he's a great comedian, but like, no, he's a brilliant film person because
Yes.
you really,
He knows how to do it, man.
He-
Absolutely.
and I just, obviously I learned more recently that he was not credited, but the main producer and Elephant Man. And I'm like, holy
it's incredible.
shit.
Yeah, that's right.
He
Yeah.
pretty much put,
He's like, I know what
David
great art
Lynch
is.
on the
This is
map.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lynch says so. Like, it's just like, I would be nowhere without Mel Brooks. Like,
Yeah.
Mel did it, and that Mel, like that he understands great art when he sees it. Like, he's not just like jokes. Like, he's in it because he wants to make great work.
Right.
And that's why he makes his jokes so great. And,
Right.
And I like, he's like, yeah, he's not as good as he's a very, very old man now, but even now he is still pretty fucking funny.
He's fabulous.
Yeah, he is unbelievable, man. Like, nearly 100 years old, he's still cracking it.
And
He's
my
probably about that.
favorite, have you guys seen Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
Yes. Yeah. Love that
Do you
show.
guys see the one with Mel Brooks and what's his friend? I mean, he's passed away now.
Yeah. Oh, Reiner, Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner,
Yeah,
when
best
they would
friend.
have dinner at the Carl Reiner's house with the
Yep.
TV dinners
Little trays.
watching Jeopardy.
So
It's the
good.
best
It's
episode
incredible. It's incredible.
of that show.
Yeah.
I
They were
love
best
that
friends
show.
for their whole lives. It's really,
Well,
really
until he
heartwarming.
died. So
Until he
that's
died.
when Carl Reiner died, I almost felt like, oh, it's going to be like
1-2.
1-2, right?
Yeah, because they're basically married. Yeah.
They're basically married, but he was married to what's her name?
And
Oh,
Bancroft.
And
yeah,
Bancroft.
wonderful actor. Yeah, exactly.
And when she died, I was like,
Nah, but he's
They
still
were customers
hanging
of
on.
Nancy's.
That's
Really?
incredible. Oh,
Oh,
it's so
yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
so good.
oh,
Because Nancy, my wife, had a coffee shop for 10, 12 years in Brentwood on San Vicente, Montana.
yeah.
And get Mel in there. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Like all those guys, from George Carlin to him to Anne Bancroft to
That's incredible.
Callista and what's his name?
Harrison Ford. Yeah.
Harrison
Yeah.
Ford.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's so fun.
There was, I've heard these stories and they're amazing, but there's a podcast episode that I remember. It was one of the old Nerdist podcasts. So it was a long, long time ago. And it was with Mel Brooks on the Nerdist. And he talks about stuff. And he talked about Anne Bancroft when he was trying to do like the producers, like at the early part of his career. And she was a successful actor and he was just trying to get stuff started. And they would go out to dinner and she would pass him money under the table to pay for dinner so that he would look like a big shot.
Man. Oh, man.
And he told this story. It's like, this is how it was back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's a good team, though. That's a great
No,
wife.
she was wonderful, right? She was wonderful.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's so funny.
Yeah. She was amazing. I actually remember like my first Mel Brooks films. I don't know how we're ending on Mel Brooks on this thing, but I think that somehow it connects with me. But my first Mel Brooks film that I ever saw was Silent Movie, which is a random one to
Love
see.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a funny movie. It's a very funny movie. Yeah.
But she's in it as a,
Paul
going
Newman
from
is
all of her
in it.
dramatic roles to being like this rich, spoiled woman, which is hilarious as the role she takes on. But yeah. All right, listen, we got to wrap it up, but this has been a great episode. This has been a long time, for at least for the three of us.
Yeah,
we've been wanting,
for years.
This has been on the list for at least a year or more.
Plus,
and I'm glad we were able to do it. It was wonderful, and I really appreciate the fact that we were getting to do this and introduce people to movies that probably people are telling them not to watch, and they should.
That's right. That's right.
true, probably.
See these inappropriate movies before Disney edits the shit out of them.
I know. Watch them now while they're still fresh and real.
Yeah, get
what other
physical
things
copies.
that they did
French Connection.
The French Connection.
That one.
besides that one? I know.
No, I'm just waiting. I'm just
waiting for it to happen, man.
Yeah. They'll want to clean up their filthy catalog of extremely good, wonderful films that have strong statements.
Right. put fig leaves in front of the freaking David statue.
Yes, that's right. Can't have any of that.
All right.
Terrible.
These were great films, and I really appreciate it. And it, sort of made my set the mood for me. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's terrific. That was really great to see this guy. It's been a while. That's really something. And also, Eric, what are the names of the books that Bogdanovich wrote?
Who the Devil Made It? Who the Devil's in It? There's a John Ford book, which is small. It's really great. It's there. But the Who the Devil's right here. The John Ford is over there. I was reading it. It's really great. He's written a lot. Hold on one second.
He's bringing us the books.
Do it.
While he's bringing us the books, I do remind us, I really want to try to figure out the Spotify thing. If we could do Martini Giant Spotify playlist.
It's a great idea.
Help us out.
I
love
go
ahead, Eric.
Books,
Go ahead, Eric.
Art books and books. As you guys can see behind me, I got a shit ton.
We can't see anything because they're all being called out. But there you go. John Ford. Yeah. Nope.
So, John Ford. This by Bogdanovich. He's got a lot of books like this that are from University of California Press. These are such great little books, and it just covers, it's all his interviews with him and covers his life and his analysis of his movies. It's
That's
really
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
So University of California Press has tons of these on great directors and stuff, but he was a prolific writer, man. I'm waiting for the Taschen book on all his writing or something like that, because he wrote so much in the 60s. He was like the film critic and reviewer in the 60s for Esquire and other magazines. Yeah, that's how he got to know everybody. And I found out later that he was really good friends with this guy named William Everson, who was a teacher of mine at NYU in grad school. And he was a film historian. And he's long past. He died in 95 or 96. But they were good buddies. And he was like the guy that inspired him to be as with film. And look him up. William Everson is incredible. The guy had like encyclopedic knowledge of every film, and he knew actors and directors going back to the 40s. Super old guy. It was really cool. And I realized recently, I found out that they were good friends. But yeah, there's a whole world there.
Yeah, because Bogdanovich sort of takes the same path that Francois Truffaut did. Like, he was a critic first, essentially, and then he applied his knowledge to making great film.
How was he compared to Pauline Kael?
yeah, exactly. Like, Pauline never picked up a camera. I would actually love to see what Karina Longworth would do. She has such knowledge of movies. I would love to see her direct something sometime. I think it'd be pretty great. But I think it's a great path for people to follow if they know a lot about movies, to actually put the money where their mouth is. So those are my feelings on that for no particular reason.
All right. Listen, guys, I got to get going. I need to do something soon. So I'm just going to say we're going to wrap it up. I really appreciate all this podcast. I actually love this episode. And thank you guys.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, everybody in chat. That's awesome.
Thank you for letting us do one of the old ones for us, because we really have been wanting to do this for a while.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was good.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thanks, everybody in chat. Thanks.
You guys ready for the sign off?
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right. Drink.
Talk.
Drink.